the shadow of Paisley Abbey, where curling began, the best women in the world clash one more time. From the new world, a young face, Cassie Johnson of the United States has let it be known that youth will have its turn. With only one loss this week, she has shown that she won't be intimidated by the veterans and has what it takes to be a champion. But the old world will not yield easily. Annette Norberg knows what it's like to be in the final. She has come so close to gold before. Runner-up in 2001, she knows not to squander today's chance to be crowned the champion. One more game to play with everything on the line. It's all led to today. Who will be the best in the world? When it comes to curling, we go back to the old country today, to Scotland, to the land of granite and Ailsa Craig, just outside Glasgow, to the community of Paisley and the Lagoon Leisure Centre, home to the Ford World Curling Championships for women. Today, on the capricious ice of Scotland, Annette Norberg of Sweden tries to finally win the big one, the World Championship, against a red-hot youngster, Cassie Johnson of the United States. Our matchup for the Ford Women's World Curling Championship from Scotland. Hi everybody, and welcome to World Championship Curling on CBC. I'm Scott Russell outside the Broadcast Centre in downtown Toronto. You know, for Canada's Jennifer Jones, it was a struggle throughout the tournament in Scotland with the tricky ice. And you know what? She had some good times, but she also lost that 3-4 playoff game against Dorte Nordby of Norway. That same struggle was not true of Annette Norberg of Sweden or Cassie Johnson of the United States. Norberg went through the round robin perfect at 11 and low. Cassie Johnson was 10 and 1. For Annette Norberg, Sweden has never won a world championship for women. She came close in 2001. She lost the final in Lausanne, Switzerland to Colleen Jones of Canada, but she has proven to be a very resilient curler. On the other hand, Cassie Johnson of the United States is absolutely on fire. 23 years old, from Bemidji, Minnesota. She won the 2002 World Junior Curling Championship. She plays with no fear and refuses to be intimidated by the veterans. All right, let's set up this matchup over in Paisley. Send it over to Don Whitman.
Thank you, Scott, and hi everybody, and welcome to Paisley and the Lagoon Leisure Centre. This is a rematch between these two teams, Sweden and the United States. During round-robin competition, Annette Norberg was the winner, but in the 1 versus 2 page playoff game, the United States and Cassie Johnson prevailed, winning by a score of 6-5. So with the victory yesterday in the semifinal for Annette Norberg over Dorte Nordby of Norway, we have a rematch with Sweden again playing the United States, this time with the championship on the line. In round-robin competition, as Scott pointed out, a perfect record for Annette Norberg. She won all 11 games. The only blemish on the record of young Cassie Johnson of the United States, a round-robin setback at the hands of Sweden. Canada finished in 3rd place at 8-3, a tiebreaker required to determine 4th place, with Norway prevailing over Russia. And then, of course, in the page playoff game, it was the United States advancing to today's final with the 6-5 win in the 1-2 game. And in the 3-4 game, unfortunately for Jennifer Jones, she went down to defeat by a score of 12-5 at the hands of Dorte Nordby of Norway. But Norway, no match for Sweden in the semifinal game. In just 8 ends, Annette Norberg won easily 10-4 to advance to this championship game. So it's a rematch. Cassie Johnson of the United States, the 2002 World Junior Champion, against Annette Norberg of Sweden, who is playing in her 7th Women's World Championship. She was runner-up in 2001 to Canada's Colleen Jones. Joan, it's an interesting battle. A young team, a team that has shown no fear against what we would call a veteran in Annette Norberg. and Norberg and her mates looked very good yesterday in disposing of Dorothy Nordby. That was something of a revenge game, I would suggest.
Well, they've been playing very well all week. You had to feel sorry. Sweden would be angry after losing that page 1-2 game, a game that they controlled right to the very end and let the U.S. steal. This is a very good team from top to bottom with great role models like Elizabeth Gustafsson and Pia Lindholm. This team leaves nothing to chance. They pay attention to details. From top to bottom are solid. They'll be tough to beat.
Well, the U.S. team has already been selected to be the representative in Turin at the Olympic Games, and I think they have to be very pleased and have served notice. They'll be a force to be contended with in Turin with their performance here. I'm talking about Cassie Johnson.
Well, of course, and I think you mentioned it earlier, they play without fear, which is great. They're young, aggressive, very, very talented, former world junior champions. The question is, can they handle the pressure of a world final? And that's always a big issue with young teams. We saw how great the young teams at the Scott Turner Hearts played, and they're going to be very tough to beat today as well. They should be very relaxed considering their age.
Well, we've got first rocks coming up in this Sweden versus United States battle for the 2005 Ford Women's World Curling Championship here in Paisley, Scotland. We'll be back with first rocks after we pause for these messages.
The World Women's Curling Championships on CBC. Brought to you by Ford. Built for life in Canada. The World Women's Curling Championships on CBC. Brought to you by Karcher. You'll look for things to clean. By Scott Paper Limited and its family of quality paper products. And by Tim Hortons. Roll up the rim to win.
The gold medal game in the 2005 World Championships here in Paisley, taking place on Sheet C at the Lagoon Leisure Center. This is the same sheet on which the Page playoff games and the semifinal were played. It has produced some frost conditions in the latter stages of the competition of each draw, and we anticipate much the same today. Humidity inside the building has been a problem, and it has been raining this morning in Paisley, so as a result, I'm sure the humidity has increased and created even greater ice problems for the ice makers. The opening stone delivered by Maureen Brunt, coming to rest in the top of the forefoot by virtue of their 11-0 record in round robin play. Annette Norberg and her team from Sweden have hammer on this opening end. Anna Bergstrom going after the stone that was just delivered by Maureen Brunt, and she will catch a corner of it just enough to take it out of play.
Don, you talked about the frosty ice conditions, and we made much of that yesterday in our two telecasts, and I think it is an issue here in Paisley, but these teams are so used to it now. I think the ice is becoming quite predictable for them. Lots of curl early in the game, fairly keen draw weight, and then as the game goes on, it'll straighten up a little bit, get a little bit heavier, and at the end get keener again. But really, I don't know if it's a lot of issues in their minds because they've been playing under these conditions all week. I think they feel quite comfortable.
Well, these two teams have probably adapted to the changing ice conditions better than any other, and it's interesting that the three teams that will be awarded medals here at the 2005 World Championships also had the best statistics during round robin play.
And those statistics would reflect that it was difficult for all teams. The draw percentage was lower for every team here, every member. It was just more difficult to figure out that ever-changing draw weight and conditions where sweeping really doesn't help you get to the house. But I would agree, Don, these teams have mastered this ice better than anyone. They've changed their game plan, played a little bit more defensively when they're not sure of the ice conditions early in the game, and then taking their chances when they have last draw.
Jessica Schultz taking aim at the Swedish stone, trying to save the shooter, and she's successful as it rolls over in the 8-foot. She's the youngest member of this American team. She's only 20, a native of Anchorage, Alaska. Catherine Lindahl, the sister of Annette Norberg, at second stone, expecting in July. Rather convenient because she will then be ready to participate in the Olympic Games in Turin in February. Although the Swedish team has not been declared for the Olympic Games, it's pretty much certain that it will be the Annette Norberg foursome. I was talking with Annette earlier today, and she said their performance here pretty much guarantees them selection. The process by which they go by in Sweden, and they make that decision in May.
Yep, hard. Very hard. All the way hard, yep. Oh, no roll. Nice shot, Jess.
So a nice comfortable end for both teams here, trying to get their feet under them here in the final.
Pretty much a straightforward end, and it will probably go that way for much of the game, based on what we saw in round robin competition, where Sweden won 6-4, and in the 1 versus 2 game won 6-5 by the United States, stealing the winning point on the 10th end when Norberg was heavy with 2 attempted draws to the 4-foot.
Both games very tight.
And this is not the way that Dorothy Norby starts her games. And the 2 games that we watched yesterday and broadcast, Norway playing Canada, then Norway playing Sweden, she would never hit a rock, an open rock in the house. She would throw up her guards, and that got her into trouble. In both of those games, she gave up 2 or 3 points. And you can see these teams know that they're not going to take those chances in the first end, where it is.
Nice shot.
It is unpredictable. It swings. The draws will curl a tremendous amount, as well as hits. Look at the ice that they'll take for a normal takeout weight. It's just a little swinger in the first end. You need to get used to that.
The round robin record of the United States, and their only blemish, the 6-4 setback at the hands of Sweden. The United States defeated Jennifer Jones of Canada by a score of 10-7.
Same. Yep. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
This team, by the way, defeated
That's fine.
a former world
Nice
champion,
shot.
Debbie McCormick, in the U.S. final this year in Madison, Wisconsin. McCormick in 2003 in Winnipeg became her country's first ever world women's champion. She defeated Pauline Jones by a score of 5-3. Maybe there's a bit of a premonition for the United States team, because they also beat Annette Norberg in Winnipeg in 2003 en route to the final against Pauline Jones. 5-4 was the score in the semifinal. Just through the rings. Well, Sweden had a perfect round robin record. They also racked up 10 points against Canada, winning by a score of 10-5.
70?
Not going to win many games when you give up 10 points.
Okay. What do you think for draw? 70? It's pretty nice.
Canada finished in 3rd place in round robin competition with an 8-3 record. And in case you missed it yesterday, in the 3 versus 4 Page playoff game, Canada was in control, leading by a 5-2 margin after 5 ends of play. But then on end number 6, Norway scored 3, and Norway scored a total of 9 unanswered points to win the game.
3, 4, watch the weight, 3, 4, 5, get it to T if you can. Yep. 4, yep. That's fine.
Great brushing to get that rock into the house, and you saw them drag the rock, carry it through the last 6 feet. And as I said, later in the game, that becomes a bit of a problem. They'll stop short when they get to the top of the rings.
Annette Norberg first appeared at the World Championships back in 1988 in Milwaukee. She returned the following year in 1989, then in 1991, 2001, 2003, and last year in Gävle, Sweden. A nose hit for Norberg. A more experienced skip directing traffic for the Swedish team against the young Cassie Johnson. This is our key matchup today.
And they head to head, the two of them are tied for first cumulative stats throughout the week at 74% for the week, but really looking strong, both of them. Not a lot to choose from in terms of shot making. But as we said off the top of the show, this matchup is about experience. And Annette Norberg, being the veteran, being very hungry, having lost a world final and been to several world championships, is a very focused team. Whereas Cassie Johnson is happy to be here. This is a bit of surprise that they're in this world final, looking to develop this team over a number of years. Will be the Olympic rec, but it really is an example of veteran versus rookie.
No roll though.
Well, Cassie Johnson was endeavoring to save her shooter. That will allow Annette Norberg simply to fire it through with her final stone. Cassie was saying there was never any question, even though she's a year younger than Jamie, her sister at third, as to who would skip this ring.
Yeah, we see that a lot with siblings. You always have an idea of who's more comfortable playing which position. We saw that with the Miller sisters from Saskatchewan. Definitely a lot. But you're right, John. You look at Annette Norberg. They just seem so poised and so ready. When you look at them, watch them walk around the rink, and they're very much in control of what's going on around them, and they looked great in that semifinal win yesterday against Dordy Nordby.
Very confident in their own abilities, and they certainly were in fine form in their semifinal win last night over Dordy Nordby by a score of 10-4, a game that ended in just 8 ends. So blanking the first end, Norberg will retain last rock into end 2. Easily the biggest crowd of the week inside the Lagoon Leisure Center in Paisley for this gold medal game. Capacity is about 800 people. 1988, the last time prior to this year that the women competed separately from the men at the World Championship. It became a mixed event in 1989 in Milwaukee. 1988, the event was held at the Summit Center in Glasgow, and Annette Norberg is the only woman who competed the last time the Women's World was a separate event who is competing again this year.
Nice shot. Good sweep.
Anna Bergstrom, the 31-year-old lead, played in the Continental Cup in 2003, twice a World Junior competitor in 1995 in Perth and again in prior to that in 1994 in Sofia. Maureen Brunt, who's from Portage, Wisconsin, was with Cassie Johnson when she won the World Junior Championship in Kelowna in 2002.
We see another defensive end here by both teams. This is not unusual for what they did all week. This is how they became successful, was keeping that forefoot open, not taking chances until they're ready. And you see there Annette Norberg indicating that they're ready to go for a corner guard now that the opposition rock is out of the forefoot. She'll call for this corner. There's a couple different ways that Cassie Johnson can defend against the corner guard. She can step up and peel it now, or she can guard her own or try to draw around the corner. And so she's choosing to guard her own, come in tight to the house and make Sweden chase her rock in the 8-foot.
Well, despite the fact it's a rookie against a veteran, this young team from the United States is playing with a lot of poise.
Well, and they've won a World Junior Championship recently, so I mean they have good memories of coming to World Championships. Although it's a much different event at the Women's Championship, but
they also travel, Mike. They come to Canada and play in women's fields across the country. So they've been playing against top teams for a lot of years.
And they also traveled to Karuizawa along with a couple of Canadian rinks this past winter for the Karuizawa International. Karuizawa was the site of the 1998 Winter Olympics. Pat Simmons and Sherry Madaw were the two Canadian teams that also participated. Catherine Lindahl, the sister of the skip, Annette Norberg. She skipped the Swedish team in Bern in 1997, the year that Sandra Schmirler won her third World Championship, with somebody named McCusker throwing second stone.
I remember Catherine skipping that team. She skipped by default. Annette Norberg actually had won their national championship but was pregnant with her son and could not attend that championship, and so Catherine stepped up to skip that event.
Jessica Schultz is the only member of this team who is not on the World Junior squad. Katie Beck was on the team that won in 2002.
well swept.
It seems that the teams that jump on the stone almost immediately don't seem to have as much difficulty with the frost as those that wait for the stone to make a move.
Well, I think in that particular instance there wasn't much choice. She threw it narrow with the broom, but certainly with draws we're finding teams, it's hard to carry a rock late. Once it starts to lose speed and curl, there's very little you can do with it. So what you want to do is sweep it enough, keep the momentum going, and once you feel you have enough, then let it go and then let it finish on its own. It's just a method, just a different method required from usual arena ice conditions that we see quite often in Canada. And that's all due to the frost.
I would agree, Mike, that we watched the Brier and the Scott where teams would wait for that rock to make a break, and then they could carry a rock 8 feet with the sweeping ability. Not here. If you wait for the break, you're unable to carry the rock more than a foot.
Yeah, it's too late.
Yep.
And both teams looking for this roll, trying to roll behind that red corner guard.
Neo.
Eva Lund, the third, skipped the Swedish junior team to a world championship in Glasgow in 1991, a World Junior Championship. She was known then as Eva Eriksson. She also participated in the World Junior in Portage la Prairie in 1990 and in Oberstdorf in 1992. And her husband Stefan is the coach of this Swedish women's team.
Whoa! Whoa! Girl, that way? Wanna go here? Still nothing. No. Nothing.
Love to stay.
That's okay. That's fine.
It's going to roll just too far, and on the left of your picture, that's Stefan Lund, who is coaching this team.
Did not move as much. Vill du slå? Nej, jag vet inte.
And Annette Norberg is looking at either a hit and roll or a draw behind her own corner guard.
Ska vi slå den? Ja. Vill du ha en clearing? Ja.
Taking no chances. I'm actually quite surprised they're playing the hit and roll instead of a straight draw behind the corner that they put up.
Ligger bra, var med. Nej, vänta. Nej. Bra. Bra, Eva. Hänger där. Gör det? Ja, bra.
Well, it looks as though the stone delivered by Lund might just be biting the top of the 12.
That one is, yeah. It is. We're gonna try to hit and roll. We might jam though, that's the only thing. Yeah. But I think if we hit half of it and get the roll, I think that would go across ours. Do you want to go for that? Just hit it. Let's go this way. Yeah.
Looking at the hit and roll, and the difficulty is the jam. If you do make something close to the roll behind that corner guard, the red stone they're hitting may jam on that yellow stone outside the ring. So I don't think you have any choice but to hit this stone. It's just a question of finding the right weight and right angle to hit it on.
Peel weight, I'm assuming. Yep. Alrighty.
In addition to winning the 2002 World Junior Championship in Kelowna, in 2003 she was runner-up to Marlies Miller in Plimms, Switzerland.
Yep. Yep. Hard, yep. All the way. Hard, hard, hard.
She's not going to get a roll, and there's no danger of a jam as she drives it straight through.
Fine. Roll. Roll a lot there. Should have rolled down. Yeah.
The shot was made a little more nervous just because of that stone at the back, 12 foot. Good chance here for Sweden though to out-turn draw around the corner guard.
Yeah.
No risk. Need to get this in front of the tee line. Around that red corner guard. Get about full 8 foot would be perfect.
Norberg runner-up in 2001 to Colleen Jones, and in 2003 and 1991 and in 89 she finished in third place.
And you hear the sweepers communicating. They just do the little things very, very well.
Lots of room by that guard. Not really close to getting buried.
Bra fart. Den var bra fart. Jag kände att det var ganska mycket. Det är inte det. Men den låg ganska långt in i linjen innan den stör.
With that broom. Yeah. Hit and roll. Okay. Feel weight.
Yeah.
Your last failure was a little down. Yeah. Okay. It's like down.
We talked about the fact that the United States team has already won a berth at the Olympic Games next year. Canada will be one of the last nations to declare its Olympic representative, and of course that will take place in a playdown at the Metro Center in Halifax from December 3rd to the 11th. A number of the participating countries, 10 in total, will select their Olympic representatives rather than go through a playdown system. Danger of that red guard coming into play. She just gets past and gets enough of the shot rock to roll it out. And it will be another blank opportunity for Annette Norberg with the final stone.
Yeah, I saw it. It was like big black.
We just saw that stone start to curl early, and once again, once it starts to curl, there's no saving it with sweeping. You have to anticipate the curl, sweep, 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 and then let it break.
It was right after I'd gone over that, so.
As you said, Don, many of the countries select their teams and will select them at this time of year so that their teams can train, compete internationally in the fall. And that is one of the drawbacks of the Canadian system. Choosing a team so late in the year, there'll be very little time for that team to travel internationally to prepare for the Olympics.
So a second consecutive blank end as Norberg fires it through. And in this scoreless game, she will continue to have last rock playing end number 3. A little mist, a little rain on this Easter Sunday in Scotland. And we are watching the World Championship gold medal game. The United States versus Sweden at the 2005 Women's World. We talked about the team from the United States having already qualified for the Olympic Games in Turin. The team from Sweden will almost certainly be selected, this team, in May to be their representatives. The Canadian playdowns December 3rd to the 11th at the Halifax Metro Center, and that is a very tough field that is going to be vying for the right to represent Canada at the Olympic Games. Colleen Jones, Kelly Scott, Sherry Madaw, Sherry Anderson, Marie-France LaRouche, Shannon Kleibrink, Joanne Rizzo, Jennifer Jones, the Scott champion, Jan Betker, and her team with Joan McCusker at second stone, winning a spot in the Canada Cup, and Stephanie Lawton, based on the CCA team ranking system, grabbing the final Olympic trials qualifying berth.
Nice shot.
And you see the visual confirmation of the teams that will be participating for the right to go to Turin to wear the maple leaf. The curling competition in Turin goes actually from the 13th to the 24th. The Olympic Games do get underway on the 10th of February. Curling takes place in Pinerolo, which is about 35 kilometers southwest of Turin, Italy.
Kör den på den. Kör på den då om det går. Nej. Törs inte riktigt. Bra Anna. Bra. Lätt gick. Ja, jättefint. 94. Ja, 93. Bra bedömt. Bra Anna.
22-year-old Maureen Brunt is a student at the University of Wisconsin.
It's pretty nice. 3. Okay. 4. On its own. 3, 4. Line's good.
No, nothing. A lot of rules.
Is it about the same?
4, yeah. 5.
Freeze to it.
Maureen's attempted a guard last and also slipped into the rings, and as a result we saw
Okay.
quite a number of hits exchange in the second end. Another mistake, small mistake there from Maureen.
9.
Var ska jag träffa?
Käppar. Rakt på.
Ja.
Ner den! Ner den!
Upp lite Katte. Upp lite.
Can Anna Bergstrom remove both of these U.S. stones? She jams one onto the other.
Great shot. Nice roll.
Rolls the shooter behind cover.
And that was the call right from the start. They didn't need to get rid of both of those stones, looking for the roll behind their corner.
Aggressive call right back here from the United States. It's a very short run back, only about 2 feet. Red to red, and they're electing to play the guard. A little bit of risk involved in this shot. Need to make the perfect guard, otherwise Sweden will be able to come down and lie 2.
Jessica Schultz is a student at Lake Superior College in Duluth. She has previously skipped in the United States National Championships and competed in the 2004 World Junior Championships as an alternate.
Sweden has a chance to remove that rock put in there by Jessica and roll over to their own red rock behind the corner guard.
In 1992 in Albertville, when curling was a demonstration sport at the Olympic Games, Catherine Lindahl was a member of the Swedish women's team that took part in the demonstration event. Curling achieving full medal status at the Olympic Games for the first time in 1998. I think I remember the winners of the gold and silver medals in that event, in the women's and men's competition.
Big risk again taken here by the States. Just keep ignoring those stones in the rings.
Now that there's a double over there now too, with Catherine Lindahl's rock not quite curling enough.
2, 3. It's got to move a lot. 2, 3.
Oh, wait only. 2, no, 3, 3, 3.
Yep.
3.
Yep.
Sweden's one double away, or one half missed guard here from lying 3.
Hard. Stop. Go. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Keep going, keep going.
That's a good guard.
All the way.
Very nice guard. I think Sweden can afford to be patient with those couple of their own stones in the rings. They're not going to make a perfect guard every time on this side. Well, they may, but it's very difficult to make the perfect guard every time.
Vi kan ju prova på det. Ja. Annars öppnar vi eller? Annars öppnar vi. Styrningen eller öppningen också. Ja. Vilken fart. Tack. 50.
They did look at the peel initially, but Catherine Lindahl, I think, gave Annette Norberg another idea.
Little hack weight hit, and if they happen to get the guard, that's fine. But let's go after shot stone on the top 4. Certainly there's enough movement here to make this shot.
Have to get past the guard that was just thrown by Jessica Schultz. It's going to be tight, but there is going to be room. And now she has to avoid her own stone, but she rubs off her own stone and just comes across the face of the shot rock belonging to the U.S. But there are 3 red stones belonging to Sweden in the rings.
It's a big break for the States.
I think the States needs to get another yellow rock in the rings. It's looking very lonely in there, especially when they don't have last rock. So sometimes your best defense of that rock is another rock into the ring, sitting second shot.
2. Yep.
It's tricky though. They don't want to leave a double for Sweden to get out of trouble as well.
2, 3. Yep. 3, 4. Whoa. Wait only.
Good looking shot from Jamie Johnson.
Whoa.
A great line.
Oh.
Freeze right down to the face.
Very
shot.
nice.
It's at least half open on the outturn side, however.
Got a 90. I know.
And because those rocks are now staggered, Sweden needs to look at peeling the guard so that they'll have 2 sides that the United States wouldn't be able to guard both of those stones. And that's what the call is. They're clearing the guard.
It's a very precarious situation, though, for the U.S. And, you know, they're 1 missed guard away from giving up about 4. They have to be very, very precise with their next 3 stones in order to hold Sweden to 1. They do have a chance to do so.
just missing that side stone as a jam. A good shot by Eva.
Yeah.
So as you said, Mike, United States has to be very careful. They need to guard the double. So they need to make sure that they're covering the top stone,
I don't mind.
the one on the center line.
Just considering whether to play a guard or even perhaps bring another one into the rings. I like the guard. You're into it now. If you've made tougher guards this end, you may as well stay at it.
Sounds fast on this side. About 80, 85.
The one thing I'm sure our viewers have detected early, this American team doesn't talk a lot.
No.
Not a lot of conversation out there.
Not just conversation, but also not a lot of emotion is shown. They keep it. They're very, very calm.
Yep. 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 3. Yep.
Good guard.
Whoa.
Well done.
Nice shot, Jane.
Nice shots.
Nice, mate.
And
Bra
again,
skjutningen.
Sweden needs to make another decision whether they
funderar
clear
på-
that
jag
guard
ser
again and hope to
nästan
get
halva
another
här.
crack at
Man får aldrig
the
bort
double
den
in the
där
house.
stenen. Nej. Kan den snurra utåt? Jag tror inte det.
Nej.
Jag tror att den stannar kvar där den är.
Okej. Då gör vi det då.
Där är skjutningen.
Our translator up here, Hakan Sundstrom, has just let us know they talked about what to do, and they're going to run the guard straight back onto those two. Hopefully make a double.
Task assigned Eva Lund. Trying to drive the guard back into the two stones in the rings. She'll catch just one. Roll the other over slightly.
Pretty
The
good
U.S.
shot.
still lies one.
Pretty good shot. Still a one lonely American stone in there. Need to find a way in there. Just about made that double.
Very aggressive call.
Mer kontrollerat. Det som jag tyckte på träningen också. Jag tycker banan är bra.
And you can see the good news for the United States that the rock that is remaining in the house is easy to guard. They just need to fill that gap on the left-hand side
80.
of the center line, and there is no
Just top
easy
8.
run back for Sweden. They have to move a couple of stones to get to it.
I'd love to come into the rings if I was American, so I'd like get a second one in there. Half around that center guard. Lie two. You hate to give up that raise. I know it's tough, but boy, if he makes it, it's for 4.
I asked Cassandra if she has always gone by Cassie rather than Cassandra. She said, the only time my teammates ever call me Cassandra is when I miss a shot.
Yep.
Wouldn't have been much this week
3.
then.
Yep.
right.
4. Line only. Line only. Line only. Where's it at? 5.
5, 6.
7.
Another good-looking shot here.
Yep.
Very nice. Well done.
This young team is showing absolutely no fear.
Where did goes the?
Many teams might have adopted a defensive mode earlier on this end.
Well, they had a couple of chances early to get out of trouble. Once they started ignoring rocks in the rings, 2 rocks in the rings especially, you're almost obliged to keep going. And they've made 4 great pressure shots in a row.
Yeah.
Looking to throw a big weight hit here, come through the port. If they hit it right, just clip the top stone. They may actually get them both.
No.
Catherine Lindahl threw in this spot trying to hack weight to get to shot stone and actually ran fairly straight. And that is relative to what we saw yesterday on this sheet of ice where there was a lot of curl in this spot. So
Annette Norberg able to throw the big weight.
Trying to come through the port between 2 of her own stones to come down onto the 2 in the rings. And she'll remove them.
Lovely shot.
Great shot.
And as you said, Mike, she throws that very, very well. Has no trouble throwing big weight. Her shooter runs into her own, lying three.
Now the U.S. is in trouble.
Well, this is why you hate ignoring stones in the rings. All these biters around the outside of the 12-footer now coming back to haunt you, unless you're so precise with your shot making. It's a very, very nerve-wracking way to play.
Yep. Okay. So
Same weights.
Cassie Johnson is ignoring these stones in the rings and playing the draw, the come around again. And I think at this stage, there's not a lot of great options for hit and rolls available. She could hit and roll the one at the top 8 foot behind the center guard, but the draw is the easier way to get in there. And I think at this stage of the game, I don't mind this call just because you're up against it. But
Well, and she's just thrown it.
Right.
This is the same draw that she just threw.
Certainly a pressure draw attempt for Cassie Johnson here,
Yep.
facing 3 Swedish stones.
three's light.
Hard. Yep.
Sweepers are on it early, knowing that she had less weight than her first one.
Need to get a piece of the 8 foot.
Hard all the way back. Keep going, all the way hard.
It's a
She
pretty good
gets it
shot.
behind cover at the top of the 4.
It's about a third open. Certainly a pretty good effort considering.
It's okay. See about
Tredjedel på
2 options. They could throw the same weight, same shot.
Det är ganska lite, va? Den svänger inte så mycket längre.
Trying to get through this port.
Jag tror att det gör det på
Question of what weight would you like to throw?
Det ser ju inte helt svårt ut att spela en sarg. Jag känner inte för den. Okej. Du spelar en hack.
She could also paper her own and come onto the shot stone.
Yeah, almost by mistake, though. You'd hate to actually call it. This isn't that tough of a shot with the amount of swing.
And you can hear them use the term hack, which is, of course, the same the English term. And this is what Catherine Lindahl played, the hack weight. And Annette Norberg did play this big weight through this port, but they do know that it will swing with the softer weight.
Känns det bra, Annette?
Very makeable.
And the softer weight, you play the soft weight to try to get 4. You could play the same shot you just threw for 3, but certainly makeable.
Well, she blanked ends 1 and 2 to retain last rock advantage into 3. Will it pay off for Annette Norberg? She has the opportunity with the removal of this yellow stone belonging to the United States to score 4. They're going to have to work to get it past that long guard. Are they by? No. On the guard, and as a result, it's a steal of 1 for the United States.
Bullet dodge there for Cassie Johnson.
So the U.S. is first on the board, a steal of 1 for Cassie Johnson through 3 ends against Sweden's Annette Norberg. A steal of 1 for the United States, dodging a big bullet on end number 3. There was the possibility of a 4-ender, but Cassie Johnson, with her final stone, made a good shot. Didn't leave much of her shot stone exposed, and as a result, in attempting to remove it, Annette Norberg wrecked on the guard, and it's a steal of 1 for the U.S. to take the lead.
Well, and as you pointed out, Dawn, they don't get very excited. They don't look like they're nervous. They're not very emotional. They were in trouble that end, and they certainly didn't show the rest of the world that. That's for sure.
Girls, go hard. Go hard.
No
all the
fear.
way.
And
Well,
that-
All the way.
as we've mentioned, this United States team will also be the American representative at the Olympic Games, and Cassie Johnson has the opportunity to etch her name into the curling record book, the first world junior women's champion to ever win a world women's championship. I asked her if she thought about it at all.
Do my best. I actually haven't thought about it too much. It's just been an incredible week so far. Just having just won the juniors about 3-4 years ago, and now the women's, it's pretty quick. It's all happening on very fast, but we hope to keep it up now.
Nu är det hake. Ja, det är bra där.
And of course, that would be as a skip to win both the junior and women's championship.
94. Ja, 4-0 är det.
Eva Lund could be a world junior women's and world women's champion, but she was a skip in '91 and she's playing third stone here.
And Kim Gallard and Corey Beveridge also have won the double with Marilyn Bodo in 1996.
Room. Gotta move.
Room. Room.
Now this is a tough situation for Sweden to rebound from. They had that great opportunity for 4 and instead give up a steal of 1, a 5-point swing. And you know things worked for you last end when you ignored the rock in the house and threw up your corner guard, so you can see Annette Norberg using the same strategy.
9,5.
Yeah, that was almost reckless. Fearless, but almost reckless. Especially once Sweden had a couple of stones in the rings. It was very, very scary. But you know, they did make all 5 of their shots. Once they went that way, they had 5 pressure shots in a row to make the Americans, and they made all 5 shots. Made them well enough to put some pressure on, and still an easy opportunity, reasonably easy opportunity to score 3 certainly, and a little tougher for 4. But again, a big bullet dodge there for the Americans. But certainly, again, execution wasn't the issue there. They strategically may have made a mistake or 2.
Okay.
There's a Canadian connection to this U.S. team.
Yep. 65.
Rob Macon, sitting to the left, is the coach, and of course in 1995 he threw second stone for Carrie Burtnick as the Brier and world champion that year.
Rob Meakin resides in Winnipeg, Manitoba. He was recruited to get involved with the U.S. training system. Ed Lukowicz is one of the United States directors of curling development and needed some help in coaching both the men's and the women's teams, and invited Rob to become involved. So he participated in the national championships, the last half of the U.S. national championships, and after Cassie Johnson's team won, was involved with a couple of training weekends before they came here to Worlds.
And Rob's been very impressed with their team all week, and particularly impressed with their composure under what could be a stressful situation. But their experience, I think, at previous Worlds and another big bond skills against some of the top teams, and winning those games certainly adds to their confidence level. And again, not having lost very many games either, being a young team is certainly helped. Fearless is a great way to play the game.
Oh, it's a great looking shot by Catherine Lindahl.
A nice touch.
Bra spel, Katte.
74.
Hä?
74.
66 hade jag. Det är säkert rätt.
Do you like this or this? Okay. Play this. Board weight.
For a board weight hit. See about a third to a half of that stone.
Brushers jumped on it immediately, trying to get it past the American stone just outside the rings. Will they be successful? They are.
Nice shot, Jules.
Very well swept.
Not a lot of room between the guard
Good sweeping.
and the running stone, but they just got it by.
Another freeze called by Annette Norberg of Catherine Lindahl. Get to the rock on the tee line that's closer to their corner guard.
Ja, ingenting då. Ska vi hålla upp?
Liten dutt. Trycker lite.
Ja, den är lite lång. Det glider på det här spåret. trycker nästan ut. Om den hade träffat rakt. Det är bra, Katte.
Det är bra, Katte.
The United States would like to roll here. If they hit this rock on the nose, Sweden will have two ways that they would be able to roll to be behind guards and set up that opportunity for two.
Whoa.
Looking for a roll to the left as we're watching it come down.
Whoa. Whoa. Roll. Go, Marine. Go, all the way. Hard. Nice shot, team.
Little roll to the left side of the button. Norberg last year, when the World Championship was held in Gavle, Sweden, very disappointed. They had high hopes of winning on home soil, but didn't make the playoffs with a 5-4 record. Colleen Jones winding up as the world champion.
I think it would be safe to say they were devastated, Don. They lost their last round-robin game that would have advanced them to at least a tiebreaker. And I think that is one of the reasons why they're so very focused on this year's World Championship.
Another good-looking draw here from Sweden.
But again, there's some separation from the stone that was just thrown and the American rock in the 8-foot. You know, we talked about Norberg's 7 appearances at a World Championship. In the history of the Women's World Championship, this is only the 7th time that the United States has made the playoffs. They've only won it once, and that was Debbie McCormick's triumph in 2003 with her 5-3 win over Colleen Jones in Winnipeg.
Whoa. Nice shot, Jane.
They're certainly making those soft weight shots. The United States are making those look so easy. And those are very difficult shots, and nice control of takeout weight. Well thrown.
Yep.
And because it's sitting in front of the tee line, Sweden can't ignore it. It's sitting full 4-foot. They must deal with that shot stone.
You know, we talked a little bit about this in the 3-4 game. When you see two teams like this playing well, their control of draw weight's been excellent so far this game by both teams, and a lot of precise shots being made, which we weren't seeing with Jennifer Jones' team and Doherty's team. Here's a nice roll. There's the roll.
Well done.
She gets the roll behind cover. You know, prior to the game, I asked Annette Norberg how important this championship was to her and her hopes for the future.
Of course, it's important. You want to win. You want to win every game, actually, but this is just another curling game, and we're just trying to do our best to win it.
Right down the center.
Well, it's about 99% certain that she will be chosen to represent Sweden at the Olympic Games. I think a gold medal here would make it 100% certainty that the team would be selected.
We could go from outside. That's fine.
Lovely roll there by Eva Lund. Really setting up a chance here for Sweden. The U.S. needs to run back their own guard onto that shot stone. They will have to be careful, though, because there is a chance they could run it back and it jams in the yellow stone in the back 8-foot as well. So this is a difficult shot for Cassie Johnson.
Yeah. Pretty much straight back. Go. Yeah. Okay. You got it.
The good news for USA here, even if she doesn't make the run back, she will open it up, and there's not a lot of great opportunity for Norberg to get big separation between her next two stones, her next shot. But certainly very makeable run back here.
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
Close.
Whoa, yeah. Whoa.
She's got it to lie 3.
Very nice. Once again, making these difficult shots look so very easy.
Yep, ho-hum, hardly said.
Yep.
Nice shot.
Sweden is now looking at hit and roll again behind that yellow guard.
Another option would be just to bump this stone to the back of the 8-foot and create a wall of stones back here.
But with only 2 rocks remaining, Annette Norberg needs to try it. She's going to be forced to take one anyway. She needs to take
try
her
to get
best
a jam
chance.
back there, right?
Well, Annette Norberg, with the 12 victories she has posted thus far at this year's World Championship, now has a career record of 53 wins as a skip at the Worlds, and that moves her into 4th place all time, behind Dordy Nordby, Andrea Schopp, and Elizabeth Gustafsson. She has 56, Schopp 70, and Nordby at 109. Tapping it cleanly through, but her shooter is fully exposed for Cassie Johnson.
And they were looking, as I said, for a roll behind the corner.
Cassie Johnson trying to figure out where to roll this stone. Nose hit would be pretty good.
And the reason why it would be a nose hit is very good is because Annette Norberg would not be able to hit it a nose and get shot stone on her next, on her last shot.
Is this straight here during practice?
Yeah, it was pretty straight, yeah.
Okay.
Just keep your weight up.
Yeah, good end here from US. Made a lot of precise hit and rolls and nice peels. Gonna force Sweden into drawing the 4-foot for 1 with a successful attempt here.
It's a nice rebound from the trouble they were in last end.
Well, she rolls the shooter over to the other side of the 4-foot, partially behind cover.
Well, it's buried enough, and there's no backing available here for Annette Norberg. Great roll. Draw the button.
Got a nice roll.
Helröd. Helröd.
You've got to be impressed with this US team. What a fantastic number of shots they put together this end.
So it's a draw to the 4-foot for Annette Norberg in the 1 versus 2 page playoff game on the 10th end. Norberg had a similar shot, a draw to the 4-foot to win it. She slid through.
Well, this is a cold draw. They cannot come to the backing, the back 8-foot, and get shot stone. They need to touch full 4-foot.
Försiktigt! 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 Försiktigt!
It looks pretty good.
Den behöver inte, jag ser det.
Swept it hard. Very nice.
Well done.
Drawing against 3. Annette Norberg with the final stone of the 4th end. Puts it on the button for a 1-1 tie heading to the 5th. Daffodils in full bloom outside magnificent Paisley Abbey, constructed in 1163. Easter Sunday services held there this morning, and the U.S. team, Sandra Johnson, Jamie Johnson, Jessica Schultz, and Maureen Brunt attended services. The acoustics in the Abbey apparently are absolutely sensational, and with the pipe organ resonating throughout the building, those in attendance certainly enjoyed the service.
A terrific pressure job by Annette Norberg. Get to the button against 4 American stones. The momentum is just swinging back and forth. A well-played couple of ends that we've just enjoyed.
Yep. 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 Whoa. That's good. Nice shot, Maureen.
And now we're seeing on this 5th end much of what we saw on ends 1 and 2, a straight exchange of shots with stones in the rings.
Well, it seems that both teams buy into if that first rock is good in the 4-foot area in front of the tee line, they will hit it before they're going to take a chance to throw the corner guard. Now that that's in the 8-foot, the U.S. would have an option of throwing the corner guard. They're continuing to hit. And that's what we said off the top of the show. This is the pretty simple kind of strategy that they have played all week. Now that the U.S. has last rock, it would be up to them to make the first move. Obviously, Sweden is making a statement by throwing their first rock in the ring, in the house, and just saying, it's up to you to throw a guard. We're not going to do that for you. If it continued on this way for several ends, you would see Sweden drop one short of the house.
Right, I don't know what kind of statement they're trying to make, though, by throwing it in the rings. They're certainly not putting any pressure on the U.S. The U.S. are able to play to their strength, which is their hitting game. And I think you get to the 6th end, you might see Annette go up to center guard. Because at this stage, in this type of strategy, Annette, the U.S. is in complete control.
Bra fart. Bra Katte.
You can see Cassie Johnson has 2 different colored shoes. She prefers one type for her slider, one type for a gripper. We've seen that with several curlers, including Colleen Jones, uses 2 different brands.
Yep.
Along with the woman who just threw, Jessica Schultz.
Yep. Okay. Nice shot, Jess. Nice shot.
And Jessica Schultz has the advantage over her Swedish counterpart at 2nd stone. By the way, during the 5th end break, you'll be hearing from the Canadian representative, Jennifer Jones, who lost out in the 3-4 game to Dorte Nordby of Norway. I had the opportunity to talk to Jennifer for a few minutes following her loss yesterday, and you'll have an opportunity to hear her reaction and her disappointment at failing to make the final of this 2005 World Championship.
Well, unfortunately for Jennifer, she's just not comfortable with playing this kind of game, and that is, when the opposition throws a rock into the house and she has last stone, she's not comfortable hitting it. And that was the kind of situation that she was faced with, was when she took chances with last rock, she tended to get burned for doing that. And as we made many comments about yesterday, just not able to adapt to the changing ice conditions as the game went on.
Final event on the curling calendar for this year, as far as major competitions are concerned, is the Men's Worlds. It gets underway on the 2nd of April in Victoria, and this is the field for the Men's World competition. Randy Furby, of course, the Canadian representative, and during the 5th end break, Scott Russell will have a preview of this year's Ford Worlds competition.
one of the competitors of that Victoria Men's Championship is standing on our media bench, and that's Uli Kapp. He plays with his brother Andy Kapp, representing Germany.
Okay, James, that's fine.
And many people would remember Andy Kapp beat Kevin Martin in the '97 Worlds in the semifinal, and then went on to lose to Pia Lindholm in 1997.
Jag får lite mer.
Jag drar sådär istället.
Nej. Ska vi annars kunna få press på dem? Eller?
So a notable absence on there is Pia Lindholm, the defending world champion, and Erik Karlsson will be representing Sweden this year.
Pia lost the Swedish final.
Ser bra ut härifrån, ta det lugnt. Inte bakom tiden, ser bra ut härifrån. Bra Eva.
Bra.
Well, no other woman has made as many appearances at the World Championships as Dordy Nordby to the right of your picture, along with two other members of her team watching this gold medal game. Nordby, as a result of losing in the semifinal, is assured of a bronze medal for a third place finish.
Yep. Yep. Oh. Nice shot.
So the U.S. will be looking for a blank here in 5.
This is how the thirds, Jamie Johnson and Eva Lund, compare. Slight edge for Jamie Johnson.
Yep.
Well, I think if you're the U.S. team, you got to be very happy with the way the first 5 ends have developed here. Tied, in theory, if they're either going to be up 1 or tied with the Hammer playing 6 after starting the game without last rock. So they could say that they've won this first half of this game, and takes ever so slight control into the 6th end, although a 1-point lead or tied with the Hammer isn't by no means safe, but certainly a great start to the game for the U.S. team.
Bra. Jag vill inte spela bort den här matchen, bara få deffa igenom. Rätt för det var.
Alright, roll out to the side. Okay, feel weight.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, almost lost the broom there. Oh, I'd have dropped mine then for you. Yeah, thank you.
Get her done, Cass.
Not much conversation, as we pointed out, or much reaction shown by this young American team. Pretty quiet on the ice, letting their shot making do all the talking.
Whoa.
Nice shot.
Now we saw Annette Norberg's 2 blanks come as a result of Cassie Johnson rolling out of the rings. Annette would love to just hit and stay and force the issue a little bit with the American team. Don't want to give them the free throw through. Would love to force her to hit and roll out. Slight possibility to roll towards that corner guard as well. Could force the in-turn, the long roll across the rings if they're able to roll a little bit. First job is to stay.
Japp, ner den! Bra! Nej, bra! Japp! Nej.
This is the first time in the game that the United States has had last rock advantage. And this is how the skips compare head-to-head, with Norberg a slight advantage over Cassie Johnson. And Johnson here will be attempting to hit and roll out in a 1-1 tie, trying to take the Hammer into end number 6.
and the majority of Cassie Johnson's misses as it have been those hit and roll outs late in ends, which really they weren't that meaningful. But she made a couple of great shots in that. And they stole their last draw. And of course, the one big miss by Annette Norberg.
Might have to be careful.
A hit for 4.
Will they be able to roll the shooter out of play after making contact? It looks like a nose hit, and it is. So it's a single point for the United States, and they have a 1-point lead in a very tight battle, 2-1 over Sweden at the midpoint of this championship game.
2-1 United States after 5 ends of play in Paisley. CBC's live coverage of the Ford Women's World Curling Championships from the old country of Scotland. Well, a roller coaster ride for Canadian skip Jennifer Jones of the St. Vital Curling Club in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Struggled with the ice conditions, some dramatic victories en route to the playoffs, and then a tough loss to Dorte Nordby of Norway. Don Whitman had a chance to reflect with Jennifer Jones in Paisley.
Jennifer, what should have ended up as a dream season obviously ends in bitter disappointment.
Oh, absolutely, it's disappointing. We wanted to, we wanted to come out and win gold and win a medal, and every Canadian dreams being a world champion. But we played well. We got caught on the ice again, and wearing that maple leaf on your back is still something, and we're very proud of that.
Canadian teams in the past, when they've come to Europe and competed in the World Championships, have on occasion encountered difficult ice conditions. You're so accustomed at home to playing on almost ideal conditions that it must be a tough adjustment. Yeah,
we get a little bit spoiled. We probably have the best ice makers in the world in Canada, and they put a lot of work into making sure their ice is great, but it's also the facility. And here, to be honest, I don't think the ice makers had a whole lot to work with. So they did the best they could, and unfortunately we had ice that changed with every rock in every end, and you get caught on it.
Would it be fair to say, Jennifer, that the ability to adapt to changing ice conditions was the major problem?
Yeah, we didn't adapt as much as we should have. We adapted in the first part of the game. It kept getting heavier and heavier, and then the second part of the game it kept getting faster and straighter, and we had never seen that all week, so we were a little bit surprised by that and just got caught on it, so too bad.
I would think you had to be pleased in how your team played the first 5 ends.
We were very pleased at the fifth end break. We thought we dominated the game, but that's what we did in the round robin against them, and then they came back. So, obviously we didn't make enough shots at the end of the game, but we played our hearts out and just came up a little bit short.
What have you learned from all of this?
That it's a lot of fun to represent your country, and even more so than I ever thought, and I want to get back.
And that next step to getting back takes place in Halifax at the Metro Centre from the 3rd to the 11th of December.
Absolutely, we're very excited for that. We haven't really had an opportunity to think about that just because we had so little time to get ready for the World. So we'll get back to home and start preparing for next year and set our goals and try to improve everything and be as sharp as we can be in Halifax.
Well, despite the fact that you were eliminated in the 3 versus 4 page playoff game, you can be proud, and all of Canada is proud of what you've done this curling season.
Thank you very much.
Our thanks to Jennifer Jones, the Canadian skip. It's 2-1 the United States over Sweden. The Worlds will continue on CBC in just a moment from Paisley, Scotland. World Championship curling on CBC. At the 5th end break, it's 2-1 United States over Annette Norberg, Sweden, in search of its first women's title in Paisley, Scotland. Well, the Men's World Championships begin in Victoria, British Columbia next week. It's a brand new rink. The Save-On Food Centre is ready to go. It's almost sold right out. And Randy Furby's Alberta rink will fly Canadian colors. As always, hopes for the home side are very high. Expectations are always high for Canada at the Men's World Championship. Since 1959, Canada has won over half of the World Championship titles, a dominating 28 times. Randy Furby and squad carried on the tradition, bouncing back from a 4th-place finish at the 2001 Championships. In 2002, they began a 2-year reign as world champions.
It's all over. Back-to-back World Championships.
For this year's tournament, Furby goes in as a heavy favorite, despite a field of world-class veterans like Germany's Andy Kapp, Finland's Marko Uspalvanimi, and Switzerland's Andreas Schwaller. Furby's strength lies in being the only returning world champion. One man he'll have to watch out for is Norway's Paul Trulsen. The 2002 Olympic gold medalist is playing in his 8th World Championships, coming second to Furby in 2002. At this year's Brier, Randy Furby and his team were next to unstoppable. Playing in front of a home nation crowd in Victoria, the skip of one of the best teams in Canadian curling history will be the one to watch as the curling nations vie for the title of world champion. A reminder that our coverage of the 2005 Men's World Curling Championships begins next Saturday when Randy Furby meets Andy Kapp of Germany. We'll be back with more from Paisley.
The World Women's Curling Championships on CBC. Brought to you by the original Strauss Heart Drops. Trust the tradition. By Karcher. You'll look for things to clean. And by Scott Paper Limited and its family of quality paper products.
Some of the silverware that they are playing for here at the 2005 Ford World Women's Curling Championship in Paisley, Scotland. Gold medals to the winner, silver to the runner-up, and the bronze medal will go to the Doherty Nordby team from Norway. Canada's Jennifer Jones, 8-3 in round-robin competition, losing in the 3 versus 4 page playoff game.
Hard.
Weight looks good. Weight looks good.
Weight's pretty nice.
Five's good.
Oh,
Five's good.
still looks good. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, Annette Norberg 1 point down now here in 6.
Nice shot.
Be
Marie.
surprised if she did not throw the corner guard here.
And she is making the call with the corner guard asked for after the U.S. puts the opening stone from Maureen Brunt at the top of the 4.
You're a mind reader, Mike. Time to make a move.
Amanda.
Ice conditions are still good. They're still consistent. Throw up their corner guard.
This is the 7th time that the World Championship has been held in Scotland. In 79, 80, and 81, it was held at the Perth Ice Rink, as well as in 1984. In 1988, it was held at the Summit Centre in Glasgow. In 2000, at the Braehead Centre in Glasgow. That was a nice trip for Canadian curling teams, as Greg McCauley and Kelly Law both won World Championships in 2000 in Glasgow, and here in 2005 back in Paisley, which is about 11 kilometers west of Glasgow.
Not at all. Not at all. Okay, that's good. Nice shot, Maureen.
That rock just slipping into the rings. I think they would have liked it to stop about a foot shorter to be in the free guard zone.
During the break, we had an opportunity, Mike, to chat with Rob Meakin, the coach. He was a little nervous on the third end.
To quote Rob, he was losing his mind, I think is what he said in the third when Cassie Johnson kept ignoring those stones in the rings. But he's better now.
What he did say was that they didn't do that all week, like take such a big chance over and over again. He was thankful that they got out of it.
Well, they stole a point to take the lead. They gave up 1 in the 4th, took 1 in the 5th, and they take this 1 point lead into N6, but without last rock.
I'm gonna go for side. He's gonna peel the corner.
I like
Gonna
that.
peel the corner
Want to go here
Go here.
or peel?
or peel?
Okay.
First bit of indecisiveness we've seen here from the American team. Not quite sure how to proceed. Not sure I love the peel either.
Whoa.
It's very defensive.
Oh. Nice shot, Jess.
Good shot.
Jesse Schultz removes the corner guard. And Annette Norberg will attempt to replace it.
4-18.
I talked about the fact that the United States has only won one women's world championship, and that was in 2003 with Debbie McCormick defeating Colleen Jones in Winnipeg. Sweden has won it 5 times.
Mycket bra med sidan.
Elizabeth Gustafsson, of course, a 4-time champion. And the other, Elizabeth Hogström, back in 1981.
Bra Katte.
Bra Katte. Good weight.
Again, the American decision is to peel the corner guard.
As she did indicate she'd like to roll to the center. She'd like to keep the shooter in play and guard her own rock that is shot stone sitting in the 8-foot.
No. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Too much of a roll.
Okay.
Well, all that does is create another corner guard for Sweden to use.
Ska vi frysa gul? Nej, den. Ja, det gör vi. Det är bra.
Clearly see enough of that stone to hit and stay.
It's a really great chance here for Sweden. Hit and roll behind the corner guard, lie 2.
Ja, det ska vara sarg förstås.
Compared to the numbers for the curlers during round robin competition, the percentage is very high for this gold medal game. Only Catherine Lindell and Cassie Johnson are below 80%.
This is over curled. On her own.
Ta egen den här. Titta.
Ja, det är bra Katte.
Det är bra.
I just think that was underthrown, Mike.
Very
I don't-
quiet.
Yeah,
yes.
I think she was looking for a little bit more weight. Cassie Johnson right now, she does not have last rock. She could hit the other rock that's in the house, a lie 2 against Sweden. And instead she is throwing the center guard. Again, needs to be very careful. It's a very short little run back that Sweden has to get to shot stone and to be lying 2.
Wait only. 97. 1, 2. Whoa. 2. 2. Whoa.
She'll want to cross the center line just to take away the run back.
Don't want to come too
Okay.
tight.
It's okay. Nice shot, team. Nice weight.
Double raise is very makeable here.
Well, Team Canada taking in the action. There's Jennifer Jones, Kathy Overton Clapham, Kathy Gauthier. Sitting behind her is Jill Officer, and to Jill's right, Tricia Eck, the 5th member of the team. Just in front of Jennifer Jones is Elaine Dagg-Jackson, who is the team leader.
Sweden playing the double run.
Det är bra Eva. Bra spelat.
Another biter hanging around the side. If Cassie ignores this one, I think Rob will be losing his mind again.
I was just gonna say this has got shades of the third end.
That one out.
There we go.
I think he got a message through during the 5th end break.
Normal or peel?
Do you like that or do you like guarding?
Oh, maybe
I
not.
like the peel. Okay.
We want to give him another chance at that.
Important to get second shot here because shot stone is available to Sweden. Need to roll into the 8-foot area.
Whoa. Not at all.
This stone has some curling to do.
Yep. Yep.
On the thin double.
Hard. Okay. That's fine. Good shot. That's fine. It's a little frosty out here. Okay.
You heard her talk about a little frost out here that will hold the rocks straighter than what they saw earlier in the game.
So there's a good look at it. You can see a good 3/4 of that stone, and it will curl enough easily to not jam on that back stone.
A wonderful opportunity for Eva Lund to lie to for Sweden.
Lite mjukare. Nej. Tack bakhand. Kom igen. Tack bakhand. Nej, vänta. Kom igen.
Well out there.
Tack. Tack. Ja.
Now it starts to move as it approaches the hog line.
Det är bra.
Well done.
Kom igen. Kom igen. Kom igen.
Tappar så himla mycket fart.
Jag tappar jättemycket. Bra.
The U.S. needs to take a look at this top red stone, that even if they do hit it, will they be shot over the back red stone?
It's pretty normal out here.
Looks like they will.
Yeah.
She can get a little inside flop as well. That would help
Forward
her
weight?
case.
Yeah.
All right.
Try to get the roll behind.
Rolling Jess's way or mine?
We're starting to see the rings deaden, though. Both those Swedish hits, one of them didn't get out of the rings, and the other one just barely got through on hack weight. So you can't afford to underthrow the stone now as the ice begins to get heavier, as the frost continues to build later in the game.
Little down. Whoa. 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 Whoa.
Hack. Go this way?
Go hard. Hard, 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 hard.
It's okay.
Go hard, Jane. All the way.
Just enough contact to
Was that less than
take
four?
the Swedish stone out of the rings.
Did a pretty good job. They rolled partly under cover. Sweden needs to be a little careful.
Lite mer hade du.
Går han mer? Du har inte flyttat på den?
And you can see, she can see most of this stone, but the problem is that there's a jam on her own back stone on the back right-hand side.
Ta den första isen då.
Hack eller? Hack, ja.
Good shot here will leave her an excellent opportunity to score 2 points.
Är det deras skotte eller? Ja.
Visst är deras skotte?
Ja.
Eva var 40 och den var ju knappt så att den tryckte igenom.
In the round robin game and in the Page 1-2 playoff game between Sweden and the United States, deuces were tough to come by.
This is a pretty good opportunity, though, for Annette Norberg.
Hack! Bakhand! Bakhand! Hack! Bakhand! Bakhand! Upp!
This needs to
Kommer
curl.
nästan inte orka ut.
She's got a little bit more weight than what Eva Lund threw.
Is there any danger of jamming it on her own at the back?
Kom igen.
And Eva had called the sweep on that and hoping to push it across the face of their rock in the back 12-foot.
För att få en tunn.
And again, the rings are not lively enough to make that
Yeah.
split-second decision. You just can't hit a quarter stone and expect to get it out of the rings in these conditions.
Without 70. So 75.
Big break there for the Americans.
75.
Good chance. Get one into the top 4-foot around this center guard.
We're one, right?
And we do have viewers in Bemidji watching this afternoon's
75,
game.
Not 80.
75, 80 is okay.
They are able to access CBC television as they're part of their cable package.
80 is good.
I think curling fans in the States better get used to watching this team. They're young and they're good, and you would expect them to represent the States over and over again.
Yep. Line only? Yeah, line. Hard, hurry.
This is
Oh,
gone.
this is
Hard. Hurry,
curling
go
early.
hard. Go, 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 hard. Hurry, all the way. Sweep it, yep. Keep going. Hard, 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 hard.
Trying to cover their own stone at the back 8. Don't think they got it enough cover.
It lost its handle. Like it was just going straight.
Annette Norberg
towards
can
the
see a
rock.
piece of this American stone at the back
I think it
8
blew
foot.
away when it came out too.
She could try to pick it out and get 2 points. This is a tough shot.
Jo, men åk ner titta på hacket då. Ja.
Gonna have a look at it from the hack. See what you can see.
You started to speak Sweden, didn't you? Wow, I'm impressed.
Jag ska försöka sprätta ut den.
Ovanför utan att dra med den andra.
She can see a bit of it.
Normal weight hit, just pick the American stone off. It's tough for two, pretty easy for one if she can see enough of it. But has to pick it cleanly to score 2.
Bra! Jump! Nej! Jump! Nej! Nej, nej! Nej! Nej!
Trying to chip it out.
Kom igen!
She will move it, but it will remain shot rock, so it's a steal. A steal of 1 for the United States and a 3-1 lead with 4 ends remaining. The town hall in Paisley, Scotland's largest town, 11 kilometers west of Glasgow. And the Lagoon Leisure Center has been the venue for the Women's World Curling Championship, with the last stone of the 6th end. Annette Norberg attempted a very difficult pick on the American stone. She was able to move it. Now, normally that stone would have slid out of the rings, but as Mike pointed out, these rings not very lively at all.
The frost is holding up that rock from coming across. It also held that rock up from curling at the very end. And that, as we said earlier in the game, able to throw a lot of big weight very accurately. She was just a fraction of an inch from making that shot for 2. That was a very, very tough shot for 2, an easy shot for 1, and obviously would be very disappointed with giving up the steal.
That's a huge point. 2 down is strategically changes things quite a bit. You have to be much more aggressive now if you're Annette Norberg.
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
And with the Americans' hitting ability, they seem to be very, very good at throwing a big weight hit. You have to. Things are going to be tough for Sweden here. They have to generate multiple points every time they have the hammer.
Again, a corner guard called for from Anna Bergstrom.
In the commercial break, Cassie Johnson and her teammates were gathered discussing the game, and Cassie says, I feel very lucky. We're very lucky to be up 2 points right now. And I think the United States knows that they need to keep on coming on strong here. That Sweden is just within striking distance.
And the Swedes are certainly capable of exploding. They have in this competition been able to generate some big ends.
Wait only. Whoa. A little bit more. Whoa. Gotta move a lot.
Whoa, room. Off. Off.
Yep.
2, 3.
Yep. Now go. 2. Yep. Hard, 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 hard. Get it to the center line. Yep. All the way. All the way. Hard, 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 hard.
That's a good shot. Covering her shot stone. Staying out of the ring so that Sweden cannot remove it.
2-point lead. That guard will help Sweden.
75.
Även där ute.
Ja, tror jag. Lite kort! Ja! Bra linje!
Jag måste. Ena curlen
Kom igen då! Ingen dutt för den är
Attempting to come down on top of the shot stone.
Bra,
Good
Anna.
throw.
Bra spelat!
Very nice
Bra
freeze.
fortsätter.
That's what you need to get the momentum started.
Tur du inte spelade det vi sa.
Vad sa du?
Tur du inte spelade det.
Well judged as well by her teammates.
illa. På något sätt känner man väl i slagen.
Jessica Schultz asked to guard this path to the freeze.
Where's it at?
Wait on
2, 3. Whoa. 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 Just up.
I'll stop.
No.
Nice shot.
Nice shot, Jess.
Nice shot. Hur ska vi få bort den där?
Så lägger mitt.
And Norberg going around the
Vi
corner
måste ha
guard.
tänkt något.
Ja, vi gör som hon säger.
Ut något.
Har vi timeouter kvar om vi behöver. Ska vi tro på 75?
And you can
Nej,
see
mindre.
shot stone is
85,
just
85,
full 8
90.
foot. So Catherine Lindahl would be able to hide this rock behind her corner guard and get shot stone on the tee line.
Kör då. Ja. Ja. Nej. Tid. Ja. Tid. Ja. Nej. Bakom tid. Nej. Bara fart. Strax bakom. Jättebra riktning.
Nice line here.
Inte lång.
Lite lång är den.
And shot rock. Or is it? Thought it was going to come to a halt, but it may have slid just a touch too far.
Well, they needed to brush that one early, again, anticipating a big swing, big curl at the end. The line was lovely on
shot.
that draw.
Do you want to come down to it?
Yeah.
Say worse shot? Yeah. Okay. A little bit more. Just a touch.
It's a good call.
Say 75, 80.
Not many options out front there. She's got shot stone guarded already. Try to out-count these other two Swedish stones in the rings with a good freeze.
Whoa.
It's comfortable. A draw with backing as well as being shot stone already.
Lot of room.
Jessica Schultz with the advantage over Catherine Lindahl at second stone.
Need to be careful here. This needs to curl past their own yellow guard.
Off there.
Hate to
Oh,
open it
no,
up.
No, no.
Just by.
Close to it.
Okay,
Does
Jess.
the trick.
These are the numbers for the 2 seconds. Just by.
På den där nu.
And it almost looked as though the stone lost its handle at the end.
Well, the nice thing for the U.S. is that they are second shot.
Nej, båda ska vi gå ut.
Are you clearing?
Ja.
Now looking just to run back the guard out front belonging to the United States onto their own stone that's frozen. Jiggle things up a little bit.
I think a good chance to lie second and third.
Ja. Tillbaka. Ja. Bra Katrin.
Super shot. Again, lonely American stone in the rings.
Come this way.
Big shot here.
It's a little bit heavier over here.
Initially,
Say
Cassie
6
was
to
asking her
65,
sister
70.
Jamie to come through the port over on the other side. She's decided to go to the out-turn draw, going wide, trying to get to the 4.
Well, when the ice conditions are good, I think this is the right call. It's always scary, though. This path has not been played this game. And tougher shot, much tougher draw than the one they just threw.
Whoa.
The front end did tell Jamie Johnson, though, that they thought it would be heavier out here because they haven't played it.
3, 4. Yep. 3.
That rock is just dying. She
That-
did give that more
That's
than
fine.
what she's been throwing.
That's the danger of going into fresh path. And now this shot zone is completely
It's really
exposed.
frosty out there. I have a lot of frost on my broom.
Okej. Det är långt emellan så vi går ner och vickar ut där.
Great chance here for the Swedes.
Sarg.
can play this with a little bit more weight. Get through that port. And roll a bit so that that same shot would not be available for the United States. Wanting to roll.
And she does get the roll to lie 3.
Very nice shot, although it's still available using the other turn. The port is staggered though, and they'd have to throw a little bit of weight. Well done, Eva Lund. Little roll.
Maybe a double available there with the out turn played across the face. Certainly need to make sure they get through the port though. First objective here for the Americans. They're
Johnson and Eva Lund and their numbers at third stone.
Whoa.
big shot here.
Yep. Whoa, 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 whoa. Nope.
She needed to throw weight to make it through this port. Hold the curl. She just made it by the top red stone in the 8-foot.
That was tough to do with that turn and not get a roll. That was a very difficult shot.
Same shot available for Eva Lund. You see how close she comes to the one in the house? Just by. But again, open hit for Eva Lund.
This needs to curl as well.
Again, trying to get an inside flop, pretty much a nose hit.
It's so tough with that turn to get the inside roll. You have to sweep it while it's still on the top one. It's really tough to do. And the nice thing for Sweden here, there's not really a double now available to the Americans, so more than likely the best they can do is a hit and roll. The roll is available, but only with the in turn.
Yeah. I think it's an easier roll to roll behind the corner guard.
I think you're right, yeah.
Come across the face with the out turn and roll in behind the red corner guard. I don't think there is a inside roll available.
Well, certainly not with the out turn.
Through there, going outside in. I think we could.
Yeah, I think we can.
Just play peel.
Yeah, with peel. Yeah. I think you can.
Or can we get through there with regular?
Like
normal?
Normal?
I throw peel.
I throw peel.
Okay.
Yeah, I think peel would be better.
Or do you want to roll?
I think if
How
we
does
roll
it-
under, then it'll be perfect.
I don't know if we can get the roll throwing
Yeah,
peel.
I don't know if you can get under.
We could probably roll the other way.
Which is
then.
fine.
That's fine too.
You go on this turn, or you want to come from my side?
Yeah, inside out then.
Okay.
Okay.
Go inside out.
Very soft spoken.
A little less.
Trying to roll behind the corner
All
guard.
right, get it done.
That was what I was just talking about. You get down to the hack,
Much more room.
that port is so staggered you could never throw that with soft weight. Have to throw it with big weight to try to get that inside roll. So now they're going to change. They're going to play the hit and roll to the outside around that corner guard. Much more room for error here.
You can actually over curl in this spot. There's enough room to roll right out by the guard. There's about 6 inches of air. But another pressure shot with Cassie Johnson.
The Brushers go to work almost immediately.
Hard! Hurry! Hard! Hurry! 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 Right down! All the way! No roll!
It's going to roll too far.
That's okay.
Good sweeping. Go off there.
And now a terrific
That was so
chance
sweet,
for
of course.
Sweden.
Det är bra att ligga nära också.
Get another
Ligger på
rock
ungefär
in
90, 1-10 ungefär.
in behind this corner guard.
Cassie Johnson, if this rock stops in a good spot here, she may be forced to play a little tap on her own or even come around into the 4-foot area in that frosty spot.
Deras inne med en deci ungefär.
And looking at 3.
Min där som jag drog var 80.
90, tror ni det?
Ja, 85-90.
Med lite vilja då.
Det är bra.
Sweden has been threatening all game, but has not been able to finish off these ends. This is a great chance for Annette Norberg to get a rock in the top 8 foot and make Cassie Johnson's save attempt as difficult as possible.
Ja, den är...
Jag känns lite kort.
Need this in front of the tee line. Do not want to slip behind the tee line and let her out of the end with a freeze.
Gärna kolla. Bra fart. Gärna kolla. Hur lång är
The
den?
line is very good.
Hänger bett. Hänger bett. Stopp, missar
Weight
vi.
looks pretty good.
Stop.
Det är bra nu.
Bra Nät.
Well, maybe there's a chance for an inside flop now.
Ja, det var fel. Han
Definitely
lite
available.
mycket i början. Bra spelat.
Biggest shot of the game right here for the Americans.
And it's very similar to the shot that Cassie Johnson just played.
Yeah.
Out turn through the port. Her first one over curled, but now that this rock is farther over, she has a chance to use that same turn, hit and roll over here right behind cover and take the end away from Sweden.
There'd be very little available to Annette Norberg if the perfect roll is made.
Yep.
Huge shot. Biggest shot of the game.
She will be throwing less weight than she threw in her first one.
Final stone of 7 for Cassie Johnson on its way.
No. Whoa. Whoa.
Waiting for it to curl.
Not at all.
Will it curl up enough to stick the shooter?
The shooter is going to roll out. So a chance to get 3 now for Annette Norberg with the final stone of the end.
And the nice thing for Annette, it's the exact same shot she just threw. And as you mentioned, Joan, they've been threatening so often in this game and finally have a nice, easy opportunity to get lead in this game for the first time.
Jättebra fart, Annette. Var lite coolare nu. Alltså, nu ska den ju
Annette's had
hamna
great
där.
control with draw weight all week.
Helt okej.
A chance for Sweden to take the lead for the first time in the game.
Bra riktning. Bra. Bra riktning.
Norberg lying 2, drawing for a 3rd point.
10. Nej, räcker. Bakvitt. 10.
Line looks good.
10.
Once again, she's got draw weight. Coming down to the 8 foot to pick up 3. And for the first time, Sweden leads the United States in this 2005 gold medal game. 3 ends remain in this Women's World Championship. And Annette Norberg, who was the leader in round-robin competition, perfect record of 11 straight wins, with the lead for the first time, cracking a big 3 on the 7th end. The first 2 ends were blank. A steal of 1 in the 3rd, tied in the 4th by Norberg. A single point in the 5th, another steal on the 6th by Cassie Johnson before relinquishing 3 on the 7th for a 4-3 Swedish lead.
Time-out.
A timeout called at a strange juncture before the first rock of the 8th end is played.
I don't think I've ever seen a timeout at the first rock. They're just
Risken är att om vi går in
whether
nu
to go
att
in
de
or
kommer
throw a
att
guard,
spela
I'm assuming.
nollomgång. Och är det nollomgång då så är det bara 2 omgångar av matchen kvar. Och ska vi då börja göra offensivt drag i 9:e eller inte? Vi måste tänka oss för.
Tror du vad jag menar?
De kan ju inte nolla 9:e också.
Nej, men de kan ta en 2 eller 3 då. Vad ska vi göra?
Ja, men då ska vi fortsätta.
Okay,
73 minutes of playing time allotted with 2 timeouts, but I've never, as you say, I've never seen a timeout called before a rock is thrown on a net.
Well, this is an important juncture, you know, as we've talked about all year, this 8th end.
But why wouldn't you discuss it during the break?
That's a good question, Don. Why was that not talked about beforehand? Or maybe they did and left it for a decision.
Ja, för jag känner liksom så här att om vi råkar släppa en tvåa
Hakan Sundström here was telling me they went to the washroom during the breaks.
So they didn't talk about it.
Didn't have a chance to talk about it. But even you should have a game plan coming into 8. And
Nära, och om den går in är det okej tycker jag.
it's very unusual. Usually have a pretty good mindset coming into this 8th end. During the 1-2 Page game, Sweden had a 2-point lead coming into 8 and played defensively and just about handed the Americans a deuce to tie the game. So the question, I think, is in their mind, do they want to remain aggressive? And really, they've had, other than the 4th end, they've controlled most of the play in each end, and the Americans have been avoiding disaster. But I definitely think you need to come into the rings with a 1-point lead and see if the Americans will hit it out.
I agree. That would be my philosophy as well, is make the U.S. earn their deuce, and that is get your rock in a great position in the house, in the top 8, maybe bite a 4-foot, and make them deal with it at some point in time in the end. If you throw a guard, you'll be playing into the United States' hands to get their deuce, which they need to score in the 8th end when they're down 1 point.
So they throw a guard.
There you go. Well, game on.
They decided to keep putting the pressure on.
Don't let off. Well,
don't let off.
Again, lots of factors for your strategy calls, and as you just said about this timeout, it's unusual, yes and no. This is unusual ice conditions, and they know that this around the 8th end is when draw weight changes. They've talked about frost coming in. They've missed some draws because of the frost last end. So that might be a factor.
Well, 5-6, lot of room.
It was a nice shot.
Draw weight certainly not a problem for Maureen Grunt.
Nice shot.
It's a wonderful shot.
And again, once the stone begins to slow down as it comes in across the hog line, terrific movement.
And the key there is keeping your stone in front of the tee line. And even if Sweden is able to make a nice freeze here, they're still going to have about 4 feet of rings in which to score the second point.
Now watch the movement as it comes in across the hog.
Missed the guard by good 4 or 5 inches and still is able to corner freeze to quarter that stone. Little bounce off. There is room to move that red stone past the yellow with quiet weight.
But as we talked about, if you throw this quiet enough to try to get to the inside of that red stone, do you have enough weight to actually push it through the back 8-foot? Sweeping this for line, choose narrow right of her hand. Narrow the broom.
Are they past the guard? They're going to get a rub.
That's fine. That's fine. Nice shot, Maureen.
So rolled on the rings, not a bad result.
Good sweeping.
Gör så där istället.
Jag gillar den andra. Jag gillar den andra också, Anette.
Va? Tycker du den andra?
Ja, kanske.
Risken är väl att man rullar framför den gula också.
Norberg's first instinct was to hit the top American stone and roll, as he thought about playing the other.
Teammates want to hit and roll in front instead. Play the other one and roll just in front.
A nose hit is the end result. The United States still has shot rock at the top of the 4th.
Not a bad shot. Americans need to be careful with rock placement here. Not allow a double.
Okay.
Okay.
What kind of weight do you want?
Doesn't matter.
Just throw this.
Normal. You got roll, James?
This will be very difficult to make a hit on this stone and not leave some sort of double for Sweden. She's trying to roll right across the top of her own.
Whoa! Whoa!
Not at all.
Yep! Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Whoa.
Yep! 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 Whoa! Whoa, whoa, whoa.
It will roll too far.
Overswept.
Nice shot, Jess.
So now a very comfortable position for Sweden.
9.
They hit and stick somewhere in the rings. All 3 of their stones are in front of the tee line. And the USA will not have much to work with. We'll have to develop something.
Andra hålet. Fart! Öka! Öka!
Love to stay.
Ja, det är bra, Katte.
Bra, Katte.
And the shooter does hang in the edge of the 12-foot.
Say this.
The amount of swing on the ice, there is a possibility of playing a draw around those stones at the top 12-foot. You can certainly go around into the back 8-foot and get shot stone. Put a little bit of pressure on Sweden anyway.
Yep! Hard! Yep! All the way! Yep!
I think it'd be safe to say Sweden's happy to see the U.S. hitting here.
Nice shot.
As long as they hit, they'll have a chance to run back one of their own or an open hit like this. No threat to Sweden right now of the United States getting more than 1 point here in the 8th end.
Stones on the outer ring. Sweden leading by a point, lying 3.
You almost need to play a draw here. Looks like you're going to be forced to one.
I agree, Mike. I don't understand the hit at this juncture in the end.
Whoa! Yep! 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 Hard, yep! Yep! Whoa! Okay. Nice shot, Shane.
Yeah, good job.
Norberg wanting some separation between the stones, trying to get a roll over to the left-hand side.
Certainly wanted to make sure it's on the rings as well. Nose hit, that stone may just be outside the rings.
Öppen! Öppen! Ja! 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 Nej! Öppen!
Well
And
done.
she gets the roll to again lie 3.
Again, very comfortable here for Sweden. Not forced into any difficult shots. So the best that the U.S. can do here is a big hit and roll across the house. And even if they are completely buried behind the other red stone, it'll be a very short run back for Annette Norberg.
Hurry! Hard, girls! All the way. Hard, hard, hard. Roll it, Jess. All the way.
Yeah, so with the rings being so dead, it's so difficult to make a long roll like that.
Forget. Nice shot. Forget that I can help sweep
Kind
those.
of counterintuitive to what they were doing earlier, where they were ignoring
That's right.
stones in the rings when they didn't have last rock, and they're really not making much effort here to generate a deuce. And again, very Sweden sure is happy to see this end develop as it has.
Yeah, it is certainly counter to what they were doing in the earlier stages.
Force here by Sweden, forcing the United States to take one would put them completely in the driver's seat going into 9 and 10.
Bra.
9,5.
Bra Net.
9,5.
There is a draw opportunity here to maybe come through
Orkade inte
the
hålla,
port.
inte var bättre än blev käpp. Om hon vickar bakom så blir det en ny cross.
Goodness, that'd be tough, Mike.
Well, this stage of the end, what else do you play, I suppose?
She's also thinking about the possibility of getting all three.
That's there.
Otherwise, draw now. And then I know draw 8 for my last shot. I've been a bit.
Triple would
No.
hit this one onto here, kill this one, and the shooter would roll and perhaps kill this one as well.
Let me see what the other two.
I haven't seen Cassie Johnson throw enough weight yet this game to make that shot possible. Because of how dead the rings are, you'd have to throw a tremendous amount of takeout weight.
Double and
Particularly to kill that one that's full 12. The two on the wings aren't so tough, but the one full 12.
Or to draw, and then if I had to draw my last shot, I'd
Do you like the
wait.
draw better? What are you most comfortable with?
Well, if we draw a round, we have a chance for 2.
Okay.
It's a better chance for 2. But
Sets on us.
And Cassie's making a good point. If she doesn't draw now, and she has to draw, she hasn't thrown a draw in a while.
Yeah, see, I kind of like the hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll hit. Yeah.
They're having a philosophical conversation about
Go
draw
inside
versus hit. What if she drew, it would give her a chance for 2. That conversation should have happened a couple of
Less.
rocks earlier.
Yeah.
Trying the triple. Need to hit about half or less
Let's get about half
of that
it.
stone on the right.
Okay.
Top 12. Tough to throw it hard enough, as you mentioned, Joe. Particularly to kill the
Feel weight?
stone near the center line.
Peel.
Okay, you got it.
Well, let's see if she can throw enough weight to remove those red stones belonging to Sweden. She wanted to catch about half of it, she said.
Okay, that's fine.
She sits on top of the one Swedish stone. That was a very difficult shot, simply because on this ice you can't throw that kind of weight.
Well, the rings are so dead.
Well,
gå direkt
there
på
are
den,
lots of women that could. I
kan
just
gå
have
direkt
never
på.
seen Cassie
Måste inte
Johnson
om jag har
throw
en,
big
måste
weight.
dra
When
in
they
den.
call their
En
peel weight,
tredjedel.
that's a pretty standard normal weight for most women's teams.
Det är ju rinna på.
A hit is not available
Nej,
here
inte
for
rinna på, inte.
Annette Norberg.
75 ungefär till 10.
The only way that she can give up
A risky
2
hit, yeah, a risky hit.
is by jamming that stone. So she just needs to get another rock into the rings.
Love to get it right into the top 4 foot, half around that top stone.
Är våran?
Really
Ligger
force
under på
Cassie
den.
Johnson into a difficult shot to score.
Jag bara tänkte så vi inte lägger upp så kan jag
Don't want to leave it beside your own. Leave a double
Ja, det är det
for
jag
2.
räknar med. Att hon får inte, den blir sämre än vår bakre när hon chappar på den där.
First priority is to again to lie to, not leave a double. Second option would again top of the 4 foot, half around would be great.
Again, a decision needs to be made. Are you trying to steal, or is the force of 1 good enough?
Annette has thrown a few draws this game.
Oh, the
She
sweepers were on
has
this immediately.
pulled the string, it would appear, on this one, unless all 4 brushes can drag it far enough. And
like
it
it's
looks
here.
as though they are going to get it there.
Little panic.
Kom igen, kom igen.
It is not unusual to see European teams, after they throw their rock, go join the sweepers to sweep it. It is virtually unheard of in North
Eller vill du
America.
ha den båda här nere ikväll? Ska sopa. Ja.
The way they panicked, it looked as though she might have come up short with that draw attempt.
Wow.
However, she puts it to the back of the button.
Well, they knew that they couldn't leave that one anywhere close to their shot stone and leave an easy double for the United States to get a deuce. They really didn't earn this end.
They actually had nice enough way that if there's someone had stayed in the rings, they could have called the line a little bit better and gone half round. They ended up back of the button. Top forefoot would have been a great shot there. Again, the panic there. Again, don't leave a shot for 2. But little lightweight these lightweight taps have been the most difficult shots to make on this ice, and this is what we're looking at here. But a hack weight hit.
An opportunity to tie the game with 2 ends remaining for Cassie Johnson of the United States. Needing to tap back this Swedish stone at the back of the button.
Nice shot.
She is right on target. And this gold medal game here at the Lagoon Leisure Center in Paisley, with 2 ends remaining, is tied at 4. Two ends remain, 4-4 the score, the United States and Sweden. We remind you that the Ford World Men's Curling Championship gets underway in Victoria on Saturday. And between the CBC main network, Country Canada, and The Score, we will be covering every game involving the Canadian champion Randy Ferbey, and he opens against Germany at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time on Saturday. And that game will be seen on the main network of CBC television. So it will be Randy Ferbey all the time at the Men's World Curling Championship in Victoria. A variety of channels, Country Canada, the main network, and The Score. And we will provide coverage of all games involving Randy Ferbey. Good start against Andy Kapp of Germany for Randy Ferbey.
Good test against an experienced German team.
And you have seen the list of the other teams that will be competing at the Men's World Championship. Teams will be arriving probably Wednesday. Some might even be arriving on Tuesday in Victoria. The new Save-On Center opened officially, I believe, last evening. And again, this is the field that will be participating at the Men's World Championship in Victoria.
And again, just notable by his absence is Pia Lindholm from Sweden.
3, 4.
I think Randy Ferbey in that field again is going to be the odds-on favorite
Whoa, looks good.
as they head into the week.
I would agree.
Whoa.
Well, the Ferbey team after the Canada Cup headed back to Edmonton for a much-needed rest.
Another one of the better teams there is the Swiss too, Andy Schwaller and his rink, who won a bronze medal in Salt Lake City. Very good team. Lots of experience as well.
Paul Trulson
Jag spelar gärna
from
normal.
Norway. Long-time rival of Randy Ferbey's attendances at Worlds.
Ner den! Ja! Ner 2! Ja! Kom igen! Ja! Ner 2!
Interesting ninth end here with the United States putting their rock in the rings, tied up against Sweden. I know teams that would be hitting that rock and trying to blank this 9th end to retain last rock coming into the 10th end.
I've seen team hit their own rock in the 9th end to retain last rock coming home.
Gee, yeah, that's right, Mr. Furby. Very, very successful. But Nat Norberg didn't. She ignored that rock and threw up her corner guard, preferring to try to take a chance to get 2 points here in 9.
Yep. Yep. Nice shot, Jess.
You see she is being aggressive, not hitting that stone top 12. She's playing the come around, going hard for the deuce.
Ta timeout om ni...
Nej, jag tycker att det här är bra.
Jag var så förvånad.
Ja, 90 då.
Annette did not watch the Brier final, obviously. Going in that corner guard.
Well, she gets her 2 points here. She's feeling confident that she could hold the U.S. to just 1 in the 10.
It's a good place to be, I agree.
Fin fart! Team! Team!
But the first objective is to get around the corner guard.
Well, the first objective is to get that 2 points. If she's forced to 1, then the control goes back to the United States. With free guard zone, it's very probable to get 2 and win the game at the 10th end.
Kom igen Anna, fortsätt! Kom igen! Kom
Well
igen!
swept.
Kom igen! Kom igen!
About half buried, maybe a little more. And that's forcing the U.S. to play a draw. That's what you want if you're trying to generate 2 if you're Sweden. Get some rocks in play.
How's the weight? Whoa, whoa, whoa. 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 Fine. Where's it at? Okay. On its own.
8.
Still on the top yellow, needs to curl. Starting to go now. Just much different line
Hey, Jess.
than Sweden had.
Shaping up somewhat similarly to the 7th end when Sweden scored 3.
Yeah, they're mostly around that corner guard, as you mentioned, Don. It's a very comfortable spot here for both teams. They're very familiar with the ice in this spot.
Theo. Yeah.
Skulle föredra andra hållet, men det kanske är svårt.
She turned this one right out of her hand. Did not give this one a chance at all.
Looking to roll into the rings here. But plan B. This will provide U.S. with a great opportunity now to try to force Sweden into take no guards in play, and they're able to hit and lie 3. Assuming they'll hit, I'm sure Cassie. She surprised us a few times already, but the 9th end, I don't see her playing anything but to hit.
When she hits and sticks there, Mike, there's a pocket for Sweden to freeze down into. That's what I would anticipate Sweden to do. They're not going to be tricked into this, I'll leave this to my last rock to take my 1 point. They're going to be using whatever is left in the house to freeze 2 and try to generate 2.
Yep. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa. Yep. Whoa.
Going to try to kick their own stone out of the way.
Nice shot,
There's the
Julie.
pocket.
That's a mistake by not trying to roll away from that area.
It's a big pocket.
Tror nästan vi försöker gå från det här hållet.
Ja.
Frysning.
Nice opportunity here for Sweden. Just get into a position. Doesn't have to be shot stone, just somewhere that is difficult to remove. Don't want to move those stones around very much.
Sweden has last rock advantage on this 9th end.
They need to wait for this rock to curl by the Yellowstone in the top 12 foot and then sweep it hard for line.
Line's good.
Trying to nestle into the pocket. She sits on top of the American stone and lies shot.
That stone is very removable, though. Anything on the contact on the center line side with some weight should easily pop that stone out of the rings.
Bra spelat.
Don't necessarily have to save your shooter either.
It's an intern for Jamie Johnson. If there was a chink in the armor, her intern was 10 percentage points lower on takeouts all week.
It's a tough return to make this shot with as well.
Yep. Whoa. Yep. Whoa.
Just needs to curl.
It's close. We'll pop this red stone out.
It's hard to get the same action with that intern.
Nice shot, James.
So Sweden's third shot at this stage of the end.
Yeah, don't forget your stuff down here.
Norberg would like Lund to flop to the inside off this takeout attempt on the American shot rock.
If they can get this little roll, it'll leave a short run back for the United States, but when they play the run back, it'll bring that third shot, red stone of Sweden's, into play.
You want to
As
roll
a
half
possible
buried.
counter,
Though.
yes.
You'd like to roll half buried, not completely buried. Don't let them play the run back and stay guarded.
Tar den utåt, Anne?
But it's going to be a nose hit.
Bra spelat. 9-3. 9-3.
Va?
I think if you're Cassie Johnson, you'd love to roll in front of that other Swedish stone. They're looking at rolling behind this. Their own would leave a double.
Or is that too risky? Do you want to just hit and roll to the side?
Do that with jam though.
Okay. We'll play.
They talked about either roll, Mike, but I don't know which one they decided upon.
Well, the risk of playing roll behind your own, there's a jam there as well. I'd like rolling in front of
Okay.
the red
Jam?
stone on the right.
But if we get the roll, it should take both of those out.
Okay. Sounds good. Right at it.
You got it, Cass.
I don't
Did I
mind.
just hit instead?
I don't mind that. I don't mind
Yeah.
even sitting a little bit out to my side.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that.
You know, because then there's still a jam back there to them.
A little less, though.
All right, peel weight.
Jamie
I'll just put
Johnson
that
had
right up. Okay, sounds
just
good.
indicated that she preferred more of a nose hit or a flop to the outside. And that's what Cassie is responding to.
That's a percentage shot, so certainly it's a much easier shot, less risk.
Whoa! Yep! Yep! Yep, hard! Okay.
It's a good shot.
That's
A
fine.
nose hit to sit shot.
Let's see if
It's a
they
good
decide.
shot. There's no easy double there for Sweden, so Annette Norberg is going to have to make a double. And you know, as long as the U.S. continues to lie two, it's a good situation for them.
Yeah.
I like that call much better than the roll buried.
Så att vi studsar längre på lite hårdare träff. Om vi spelar sådär om
Utåt
9.
alltså?
Nej, inåt.
Inåt. Japp.
Well, you set a good
Vi har ju den där.
situation for
Vi har
the
ju lite
United
marginal
States.
mot
They
den
could
gula
give up
där.
one here and then
Spelar
have
9
last
försöker
rock
studsa
heading
inåt.
home. Trailing by just a point,
Neo.
they'd be in pretty good shape.
It's a great spot.
Ja.
9.
Neo.
So now Sweden
Ja,
is in that same
förlåt.
predicament that there's a jam available if they try to make a roll. So now they want to nose or a little flop to the outside. Want to make sure that they're still shot stone and have Cassie Johnson shoot at them.
Ska vi försöka vicka in, eller?
Well, this game is every bit as close as the two previous meetings here at the 2005 Worlds. A 6-4 victory for Sweden in round-robin competition. A 6-5 win for the United States in the 1-versus-2 page playoff game. And here it's 4-4 playing this ninth inning.
Ner den! Ner den! Ner den!
Ja! Ja!
We got a goal.
A good roll.
9-4.
Rolled half buried. Pretty good shot, really.
Well, a short little run back is available for the United States to lie first and second shot. You see where this rock jams and now is shot over that other red stone. So there's no danger to the United States now to play this short run back. They'll be lying first and second shot.
They need to stick it though. They need to make sure the one they run back does stay. There is a double too. If they hit it right on the nose, they'll go red, red.
Get her done.
If they're not able to stay, I believe their shooter will be
You got it.
third shot behind that one on the wings. So anyway, short little run back. Not overly tough.
Cassie Johnson with her final stone of this ninth end, trying to run her own back onto the shot rock. Can they keep it on line, or is it going to curl too much?
Got to watch the jam. Luckily, her shooter rolled in. Otherwise, it would have been open hit for three.
It's okay. Okay, fine.
Inside, right from out of her hand. Turn this one.
Very fortunate her shooter stayed. Would have been a hit for three for Annette Norberg. And you can see Annette again. Usually what we do is you draw to the center. She is throwing the out-turn draw that they are familiar with, that they've thrown time and time again in this game because of the ice conditions. The uncertainty of going outside to the center.
Tycker ni vi ska gå utåt eller inåt?
That's a huge miss by the United States. That could be the game, that short little run back, sticking it and forcing Sweden to a difficult shot for one.
They have gone back to the in-turn, which they have thrown several times. It's the out-turn spot that was the difficult one that we saw Cassie Johnson come up short in on the seventh end. Big draw for two here. Take control of the game going into 10.
Well, Norberg has been successful with the draws when she has had to make them. Drawing for a second point, trying to take a 2-point lead into the final end. And she's right on target once again.
Two big shots from Annette Norberg.
So Annette Norberg and her Swedish champions lead by 2, heading into the 10th and final end against the U.S. Well, the American spectators still hopeful that for the second time in the history of the Women's Worlds, that a team from the United States will engrave its name on the championship trophy. But a blown opportunity on the ninth end by Cassie Johnson. She had a run back that could have really put pressure on Annette Norberg and her Swedish team.
The only way that Cassie Johnson misses that run back is by overcurling, and it looked like she did turn it over very early, right after release. So now their work is cut out for them. They can get a deuce with the free guard zone, and using guards in play, one miss from the opposition, you get your 2 points, but that'll only tie the game. And that's why that short little run back was very important to date.
So now trying to generate 2. They'd like to get 3, but their immediate concern is to try and generate 2 and force an extra end.
That's what we came for. Let's get her done.
Well, I'm sure the spectators here at the Lagoon Leisure Center.
Sweden's down at the far end again, wanting to confer with the coach. And once again, Don, I am a little bit baffled of why they don't do that during the break, between ends.
And again, Stefan Lund is coming out to discuss strategy.
They've called another timeout.
75 på inhand.
Anna, vi hade faktiskt 69 på din som gick framför.
74 på den.
Jo, men alltså,
Well, I don't know how much any strategy could have changed.
60 tror jag på. Ja, vi har inte spelat någonting den här omgången.
Lund certainly wasn't there very long, other than to high five.
Well, you're up 2 points playing the 10th end. I don't see any other call besides putting it in the house in the top 8-foot bite, a 4-foot, and that is what the call is for Anna.
33.
Now the question is that the curlers thought that this side of the ice was just a little bit heavier than the other side. It looks like Bergström has given this an extra bit of weight.
And the mistake is short.
Kom igen då! Kom igen! Kom igen!
Det är vårt fel.
And Maureen Brunteman, she's played very well this game. She's curling at 86% right now, and this is the biggest shot. This is without last rock, you only get 1 guard in the 4 rock rule. Excuse me, with last rock. She needs to have this stop short of the rings. Otherwise, Sweden will be able to peel out the end.
Halfway tight. Close. Yep. Yep. Weight's pretty nice. 2, 3.
Well, Brunt continues to play well. She delivers the corner guard.
Oh, okay. Nice shot, Maureen.
A nice start to the end.
Lite lång också.
This one also looks like it's heavy. They do want to keep this in front of the tee line.
Kommer gå ner lite bakom tee tror jag.
Starting to come down a little bit, but it will slip to the tee line at least.
And those are rocks that can be used by the States.
Even if a little bump is fine too.
Playing the freeze.
You heard Cassie Johnson say to Maureen Brunt, even a little bump is fine.
5. Yep. Yep, line. Yep, for line. Hard. Yep. Hard, girls. Hard, all the way. All the way hard. Whoa, where's it at? Line 6. Yeah.
Losing line over curling here.
We're off it.
Weight was lovely.
That's fine.
But it still does pose something of a problem for Annette Norberg.
Ska vi vika upp framför då?
Ja.
Mycket is jag fått. Det ska så mycket.
Catherine Lindahl should be able to pick it out of there.
She would like to hit and stick, because then her shooter would be in front of the tee line, which would be a better shot than what she would be leaving if she picked it out. That freeze to right behind the button would be available to the United States again.
Even double her own off would be nice. I like just peeling it out myself. But fewer stones in play, the better, I think. But or double your own certainly would have been a good option. You don't want all 3 of them back there.
See, the most dangerous stone for Sweden right now is the one that this one just rolled in front of. It's right behind the button, and you know that that'll just work to the other team's advantage. So a freeze, another freeze attempt called by Jessica Schultz. Even if she tapped this rock a foot or so behind the tee line, it would be a good shot.
Yep, line.
Right to the back 8, split those 2 to the back 8 foot would be nice. This is over curling as well.
Hurry hard, yeah.
That wobble in her delivery, I'm sure, affected things a bit.
Go, all the way.
She may paper off this behind the corner guard. May work out well.
Fine.
That's lost behind that corner guard.
Okay.
It's a good miss.
Shot.
So now what do you do if you're Sweden? You could peel the corner.
And that appears to be the call.
Yeah.
If she peels this corner, you would expect the United States to play another freeze onto that red stone that is now right behind the tee line.
of the way.
Kom igen.
It's corner guard. Another stone that can help the Americans. Freeze is an option. You could use that corner guard as well.
I like the freeze. Just playing a little freeze tap, trying to move those rocks around a little.
Good shot here. If you can freeze and tap that stone out for fourth shot, will actually bring 3 into play.
Where's it at? Yep. Whoa. Line only. Whoa.
A better line on this one.
Line only.
And a little tap for weight.
Yep. 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 Hard.
Lost the line a little bit at the end there.
Nice shot.
Well, Annette Norberg certainly didn't want to have this many rocks in play playing this 10th end.
Well, not all behind the tee line. You know, we talk about this often, but you know, when your lead can get that stone at the top 8 foot, top 4 foot, it really changes the complexion of the end. Just straight pick here. Clip the yellow stone out, roll your shooter away.
Eva Lund trying to take this American stone off the button, and she succeeds.
Almost made the double. Still same situation here though for the States. Just a touch thinner would have made the double.
Now a good freeze here by Jamie Johnson.
Maybe.
They need to get the line. They've missed the line the last 3 freezes. They're not taking nearly as much ice as Sweden did for this same shot. They were almost out to the edge of the 8 foot for their ice call.
They've been attempting to freeze to the stone, sitting behind the tee line, back of the button.
Yep. Line's good. Wait only. Whoa, 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 whoa. No. Yep. Yep. Hard, yep. Hurry, 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 hurry.
Again, just at the end, just having
nice
it
shot, Jim.
over curl.
Appearing to have good line, but just at the end, moving a little too far.
The good news though for the States, these stones keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper into the rings, and give them a little bit more room to maneuver.
They jump on this delivery by Eva Lund almost immediately. She might jam this back into her own.
They're holding the line really well with sweeping. They did well to hold that one on line.
Fint.
Same weight's good.
Actually, now I like this way.
Yeah,
Still trying to get to that high side, the broom side, to tap this red stone along with its partner in the back 4 foot, again creating a pocket.
Line's good.
They haven't been able to anticipate the big curl right at the end of the path of these interns. They've been all over curling.
Trying to keep this one online, trying to prevent it from over curling.
Right down, all the way, hard, 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 hard. Nice shot, Shane.
Consistent anyway. Just losing the line by 2 or 3 inches each time. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but what it does is it frees up the hit. Anything on the broom side of making contact on that broom side should easily pass by their own stones. If they can get it right on the nose, it really makes the hit that much more difficult.
Well, we're down to skip stones with the Swedes leading by a pair. Norberg trying to remove this American stone at the
needs
top
to
of the
curl.
4. She gets a double.
That was really close to not getting anything. But the great thing for Annette Norberg now is that 3 is not in the picture at all, and now Cassie Johnson has to make a great freeze in order to force Sweden into a difficult shot to win this game.
With all those great shots that Sweden have made so far this end, it all comes down to this one. They got to be keeping their fingers crossed that Cassie Johnson doesn't make a perfect freeze on top of that rock that is right behind the button.
And this time you have to err on the broom side. If you bump that stone back a little bit, create some stones to jam on at the back of the rings. If it over curls, leave Annette Norberg the exact same shot she just threw.
Well, all the previous freeze attempts for the Americans have just curled a little too much.
She's taken significantly more ice here. She's taken about 6 inches more ice than we've seen.
Line straight. Yep. It's good. Yep.
This one's curling.
Hard, yep. Hard.
Will this one over curl as well?
Girls, hard.
It will.
Right down, hard, all the way. All the way, all the way, hurry. Okay.
Open hit.
So Norberg has a chance here to end this game, as again the Americans have trouble in trying to play the freeze, all of them over curl.
A great week though for Cassie Johnson and her young American team. But I said all week, this team, Annette Norberg and her team, have looked so composed, so ready to win. They've been close before.
Focused would be the word there. This goal to win this world championship has been on their mind right from the first rock thrown at this championship.
Norberg, runner-up to Colleen Jones in Lausanne in 2001, with a chance to end it here by removing the American stone, and she'll do just that. 3 times Norberg has finished in 3rd place at the World Championships, runner-up 4 years ago, and she claims the 2005 Ford World Women's title, and that will almost certainly stamp her passport to Italy and a spot in the Olympic Games that get underway on the 10th of February next year. A solid effort from Team USA, and this young squad, skipped by Cassie Johnson, will also be headed for the Olympic Games, and they will have to be considered a definite threat for the women's gold medal. But the gold medal here at the World Championship, in her 7th try, will be draped around the neck of 38-year-old Annette Norberg. Coach Stefan Lund and 5th player Ulrika Bergman also out on the ice, taking part in the victory celebration. Only the 6th time that Sweden has won a women's world championship. Annette Norberg, the best team in round-robin play. Eva Lund being congratulated by her son Adam. Sweden losing in the 1 versus 2 page playoff game to the United States, but bouncing back in this championship game. And a 4 on the 10th end will produce a 10-4 win. Even though the U.S. did not throw its final stone, they still put up 4 for the Americans, or for the Swedes, for a 10-4 victory. Now let's join Joan McCusker with Annette Norberg.
Thanks, Don. Annette Norberg, a long time coming, this World Championship. What does it mean to you to finally get this under your belt?
Of course, it's our main goal this season to win the gold medal here in the Worlds, and we have for 3 years now since we lost the final 2001, actually worked mostly towards Turin next year, but hoping for a gold medal in the Worlds on the way there.
What did you do differently to prepare for this World Championship so the outcome would be different than 2001?
Actually, we've been working very hard for these 3 years, trying to do everything as the best we can. So it's just we're trying to get a little bit better on everything every year.
A lot of emotion showed at the end, and a little tribute to your fans. What did you say to them?
We just thanked them for being our supporters.
Congratulations, Annette, and good luck at the Olympic Games.
Thank you.
Back to you, Don.
Well, Annette Norberg and her team of Eva Lund, Catherine Lindahl, and Anna Bergstrom ruling the women's curling world with their victory over the United States here in the championship game in Paisley, Scotland. Closing ceremonies here at the Lagoon Leisure Center in Paisley about to get underway. Team Sweden still posing for pictures. Annette Norberg, in her 7th attempt, finally wins a world championship. She was the runner-up to Colleen Jones in Lausanne in 2001. She finished in 3rd place in Winnipeg in 2003. In 1991 in Winnipeg, she was also a 3rd place finisher, and in 1989 in Milwaukee, a 3rd place finisher. Jennifer Jones and her Canadian teammates parading out onto the playing surface as part of this closing ceremony. Jennifer Jones finishing in 4th place, losing the 3-4 page playoff game to Dorte Nordby of Norway. Norway winding up with the bronze medal at the 2005 championships. China participating for the first time in the world competition. 12 teams taking part in this 2005 Ford World Women's event. And of course, there are many who believe that the Chinese at the Summer Olympic Games in Beijing in 2008 are going to be one of the dominant teams, having the Olympic Games on their home soil for the first time. And they are making inroads into some of the winter sports as well. And as we said, their first participation here at the Women's World Curling Championship in Paisley, Scotland. The top team in round-robin competition, the best team in playoff activity as well. The United States finishing 2nd, and despite the fact that they had to survive a tiebreaker against Russia to get into the page playoff format, Dorte Nordby, the veteran competitor, more appearances at a world championship than any other curler. 18 times she has been here, a bronze medalist. In addition to the presentations that will be made to the women's medalists, the top 3 teams, Sweden, the United States, and Norway. Presentations will also be made to the senior champions in men's and women's competitions. These events taking place simultaneously to the Women's World Competition, although at a different location except for the medal games. The bronze medalists now being paraded out. Dorte Nordby and her team of Marion Haslam, Lynn Githmark, Camilla Holt, and Coach Soren Gran, along with 5th player Marianne Roervik. Marching out, Team USA, Cassie Johnson, Jamie Johnson, Jessica Schultz, and Maureen Brunt. And 5th player Courtney George. Moving out towards the medal podium. And the final team to be introduced and being piped out,
ladies and gentlemen,
the world champions from Sweden, Annette Norberg, Eva Lund, Catherine Lindahl,
Sweden,
Anna Bergstrom, 5th player Ulrika Bergman, and coach Stefan Lund.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Roy Sinclair, President of the World Curling Federation, will now present the trophy to the 2005 Women's World Champions, Sweden. With skip Annette Norberg, third Eva Lund, second Catherine Lindhall, lead Anna Bergstrom, alternate Ulrika Bergman and coach Stefan Lund.
Roy Sinclair.
You married, will you?
Yeah.
Vad ska vi göra med det? Får man sätta ner den? Håll i den en stund. Okej. Jag håller båda så.
Presentation of the championship trophy to Annette Norberg and her team. And we'll continue with more after this. Well, although Cassie Johnson did not throw her final stone, it will be recorded as a 10-4 victory for Sweden in this Women's World Championship. Annette Norberg and her team, full marks for their victory.
Oh, this is such a great team, and they've been together for a long time. They've been focused. You saw the emotion at the end. This meant a tremendous amount to them. I think the world has to watch out. This is a very, very good team that will represent Sweden at the Olympics, and they will be tough to beat there as well.
Well, I think both teams, Mike, Cassie Johnson of the United States, who already has her Olympic spot, I think both teams will have to be considered medal possibilities in Turin next February.
Well, the scary part about Cassie Johnson's team, they're so young, and they're going to keep getting better, which is frightening because they were so composed today, threw caution to the wind several times, took some chances when they needed to, and were so close to winning this game. They got into trouble in 9. One little miss in the 9th end really turned the tide in Sweden's favor.
And the other team on the medal podium, Jordy Nordby from Norway. She's almost a certainty to also be going to turn for the Olympic Games. So medal possibilities from the three teams on the medal podium here in Paisley at the 2005 World Championships. Of course, Canada will not declare its representative for the Olympic Games until the playdowns December 3rd to the 11th at the Halifax Metro Centre. More to come after this.
The World Women's Curling Championships on CBC. Brought to you by Ford. Built for life in Canada. The World Women's Curling Championships on CBC. Brought to you by Tim Hortons. Roll up the rim to win. By the original Strauss Heart Drops. Trust the tradition. And by Karcher. You'll look for things to clean.
Well, bring on the celebration. The 7th appearance for Annette Norberg at the Worlds. This time she comes away a winner, the first Swede to win the women's title since Elizabeth Gustafsson took her 4th in 1999. Norberg handles the American red-hot rookie Cassie Johnson 10-4 with a perfect last shot. Winds up with a gold medal around her neck. April the 2nd, next Saturday, the Ford Men's World Championships begin in Victoria, British Columbia. We'll have the opening draw at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Canada's Randy Ferbey takes on veteran Andy Capp of Germany, who won bronze in 1995. Ferbey looking to reclaim a title he last won in 2003. Annette Norberg of Sweden, the women's world curling champion, at long last, as they